Well, the balloons have been released, and that enormous American flag flies over Loudon. And we're set to go racing here at New Hampshire International Speedway. Sears Die Hard presents the starting grid for today's race. On the pole, Ernie Irvan, 5th pole of the year, the current Winston Cup point leader. On the outside of row 1, Jeff Gordon, winner at Charlotte back in May. Ricky Rudd, who finished 5th here 1 year ago, is 3rd. And Bobby Labonte, the fastest Pontiac, equals his best start of 1994. Kenny Schrader, 5th in the points and 5th on the grid today. Watch out for the bear. Ted Musgrave has 4 top 10 finishes this season. Sterling Marlin, only the 2nd top 10 start since May. Derek Coe has his first top 10 qualifying effort of the year. Morgan Shepherd finished 2nd at Atlanta in March. And Mark Martin, runner-up in last year's Slick 5300 here. Terry Labonte in row 6, won at North Wilkesboro in April. And Michael Waltrip, 8th in the Winston Cup points. 7th row, Jimmy Spencer with his first career win last week in Daytona. Next to Darrell Waltrip, looking for his first win since '92. Row 8, Todd Bodine ran a strong 7th last week in Daytona. And Jeff Bodine, winner of this year's Winston Select All-Star race. Row 9, Dave Marcus, best start of the year for the 27-year veteran. And Rusty Wallace, 18th today, came from 33rd to win it last year. Randy LaJoie, 2nd start of the season in Winston Cup ranks. And Jimmy Hensley, 5th straight time he's been a first-day qualifier. Bill Elliott set a new track record the 2nd day, over 128 miles an hour. He and Rick Mast in row 11. Row 12 will be Brett Bodine, who finished 6th at Rockingham, and John Andretti, one of 8 drivers to break the old track record. Steve Grissom has been the top finishing rookie 4 times this year, and Rich Bickle makes his 8th start. Greg Sachs finished 6th at Daytona and Talladega, and Dale Earnhardt hasn't started this far back in 2 years. He's 28th. Dick Trickle, the 89 Rookie of the Year in Winston Cup, and Huck Strickland, who finished 9th at Dover. 16th row is Dale Jarrett, who ran 4th this year, and Harry Gant takes his last ride at New Hampshire today. Ward Burton, rookie in Winston Cup, but a veteran here, and Lake Speed, 10th last week in Daytona, 10th in the points. Joe Nemechek finished a career best 7th in Michigan last month, and Mike Wallace ran 12th last week at Daytona, his best Winston Cup finish. Jeremy Mayfield makes his 9th career start, and Bobby Hamilton, who finished 9th at Bristol. Then Jeff Burton, who's the rookie point leader by a wide margin, and Mike McLaughlin, the Busch driver, makes his Winston Cup debut. The provisionals, Kyle Petty stood on his qualifying time from Friday, and Tim Steele, 3rd career start for the freshman from Michigan. That's the lineup. Let's show you who we're riding with today, and it's going to be a busy afternoon on TNN. Miller Genuine Draft Ford of Rusty Wallace will carry our in-car camera. As will Terry Labonte, driving one of the Rick Hendrick cars, the Kellogg Cornflake Chevy. And there's the roof cam on Terry's car, starting in the 6th row, and a rear bumper cam as well. Mark Martin in the Valvoline Ford of Jack Roush. Right along with Mark. And there's the roof cam. And there's Mark. It's ready to go to work. Randy LaJoie in the Vinaloo Ford Thunderbird of Vic Moroso. Getting set to go. And a roof cam from Randy, making his 2nd Winston Cup start this year. And there's a look from the right side of the dashboard at Randy LaJoie. Jeff Gordon starting on the outside pole in his DuPont Chevrolet. Let's look at the sophomore driver, and Derek Cope, that's Get Well Ted, it says on the dashboard. Ted Hildrich, father of their gas man Randy, is in the hospital. Wish him a quick recovery. And there is the roof cam on the Cale Yarborough-owned Finger Hut Ford for Derek Cope. And steering column cam debuts today in Derek Cope's car. 1 lap to go before we start. In yesterday's 9X Yellow Pages 40, a thrilling modified race, Jimmy Spencer drove Jeff Fuller's backup car. Fuller won the race, but Spencer's ended in the turn 2 wall. Glenn Jarrett, how is he today?
Well, Mike, I talked with him right before he pulled out onto the racetrack. He said he was feeling pretty good. He was awfully sore. He hit his head on the roll bar. But the worst thing, he said he banged his right leg up, banging back and forth between the steering wheel and the though, but said he wasn't quite up to par. Randy?
Well, yesterday, guys, Terry Labonte's team, led by Gary Dehart, rebuilt the entire front end of the car. They cut the snout off while the Busch North race was going on in the modified race. This is the car that he won the North Wilkesboro race at. They came here, they didn't quite like the way that it was handling, so they decided to throw a little new geometry under the front end. So Gary said he didn't want to leave any cards on the table, so we'll see here today what kind of hand he dealt Terry in this new chassis that's on the front end of this car.
Thanks, Randy. The joke we brought this morning was they wanted to give a wall in turn 2 a CAT scan from where Jimmy Spencer bumped it.
Jimmy's pretty tough.
Over $1 million is at stake here today, the biggest purse for a mile racetrack ever in the history of NASCAR. Bob Bear has put a lot of money into this facility, and he's going to pay a lot out today. 300 miles of racing on what will be a near 90-degree day. These fans don't mind. They come from all over the Northeast to see Winston Cummers in their second appearance here at New Hampshire. They're about to get their fill. Green flag. Ernie Irvan grabs a gear and gets going. Ricky Rudd in second.
Boy, that's very important to get that jump going in the first corner. The preferred line is right down on the white line there. You can see all the cars on the inside are moving faster.
Exactly right, buddy. You see Jeff Gordon had a little problem getting up to the restart. There we have a problem. Jeremy Mayfield coming off of turn 2. It looks like there's not going to be no caution. He's not really putting no fluid down.
Back to the line.
Mark Martin is sideways really bad coming off turn 4 there.
And we stay green.
Looks like Mark and the 21 car, Morgan Shepherd, got together just a little bit coming out of 4. That was very close to hitting the wall.
You know what happens? This is a flat racetrack, and everybody's fighting for the bottom of the track early into going. The more this racetrack gets going, they're going to end up boarding up higher. As you can see Mark Martin trying to gather everything back up. That was a really close call coming off of 4.
He's got his momentum again. You saw us check his mirror a couple of times, just trying to get relationship to the other cars on the racetrack. Ernie Irvan leads the first 2 laps. Here's what happened. Way in the back of the pack to Jeremy Mayfield.
Okay, it looks like Jeremy just got loose. I don't think the 8 car Jeff Burton got into him. It looked like Jeremy just got a little bit loose and lost it.
Kenny, this early in the race, there's a lot of debris on the racetrack. Even though you sweep it and everything else, there's a lot of dust out there. You can lose control of first lap like that.
First 8 qualifier Dave Marcus battles Rusty Wallace. Wallace picks up a notch.
Oh, Greg Sachs is against the inside wall.
And we have a caution. Sachs spins coming off turn number 2. And is stuck in the grass.
You know, we're really seeing something here. It's very surprising. Basically, we've had 3 wrecks that haven't caught a caution. It's taken the 77 car to finally get a caution, but it's a little peculiar here. We haven't seen this many spin-outs all week long.
We're underway, but we're under caution quickly in New Hampshire. We'll be right back with Winston Cup Racing live on the Nashville Network. Welcome back to Loudon, 1 lap to green. Let's show you the wreck that did not happen. As we put up our 800 number first, you're welcome to call in your questions during this race. We'll transfer them down to our pit guys or answer them up here in the booth. We've got questions about this race. It's a free car. That's a free call. You don't get a free. This is not the free car number. I'm sorry. 1-800-451-7331. Give us a call.
We have an in-car shot that happened just a little bit ago. You see Morgan Shepherd there. He gets up under Derek Cope. He loses control. Mark Martin collects him just a little bit. Almost got into the outside wall. That's as close as you can come without wrecking, folks.
Well, what kind of shape is Mark's car in? Let's find out. Here's Randy.
Well, I just talked to Steve Neal, the crew chief, Mark, and he said he bent a tie rod. Car's towed out a little bit. They had the string out. Looked like they wanted to come in, but they cannot sacrifice all that track position right now. So they're going to ride it out, maybe catch a caution later on inside a window so they can come in and not lose too much position. But the front tires are towed out on Mark's car.
Last year here, Jeff Burton and Ken Schrader crashed on the first lap of the race in turn 1. We're back under green. Ernie Irvan has now led 14 of the 16 races this year, including the last 10 in a row.
Sterling Marlin going through the corner, followed by Derek Cope. Derek Cope is really up about this race. His car's handling well. Look at Ricky Rudd. Do I know who to interview or what?
I tell you what, that's pretty impressive. To do that with Ernie Irvan coming up off of turn 2 here, there means you need to be really hooked up and have a lot of horsepower. And he done it.
5th race Ricky Rudd has led this year.
Well, as you well know, a lot of people say that Ricky Rudd may be one of the best slick track drivers in the country and one of the best road racers. And this racetrack is a lot like a road course. You have to really make the apex a little bit late, go in and stay on the bottom and let the car work off the corner.
That's definitely a strong point right now, is getting up off of turn 2. It's hard to tell right now coming up off of 4, but you really, now Ernie closes up in the middle there, means Ernie's turning better.
Look at Jeff Gordon. His car is really running well too. He runs this racetrack extremely well. Led the race last time up here for the Western Cup. And right behind him, Ted Musgrave. Best run for him by far this year.
New crew chief for Musgrave, Robin Pemberton, lately departed of the Sabco team. And now the crew chief for Ted Musgrave, Howard Comstock, up to team manager and in charge of research and development.
I think you'll really see Robin Pemberton and Ted Musgrave really start to shine. They've run really well this year, and I think that'll put the icing on that team.
Riding with Jeff Gordon there in 3rd place.
Just in the edge of that corner there, you see Bobby Labonte moving into 5th place. That car has been really strong through qualifying and everything. I look for a good day for him also.
Bill Davis, who owns that team of Bobby Labonte, announced this week they're sponsor hunting for next year. That's a good competitive effort for someone. Mark Martin back at speed, racing with Dave Marcus right behind Rusty Wallace. About 21st position there.
I got to tell you, Dave Marcus's car is a little bit quicker, but you know, we have front end damage on Mark Martin's car. And what that does, it makes the front end, when he turns it in the corner, you'll probably see it move out just a little bit where he needs to stay on the bottom.
Speaking of needing to stay on the bottom, Ricky Rudd did, but Ernie Irvan got there. Lead change.
I think this is a case right now where everybody's tires are starting to get a little bit wore out. We're getting into a run here now. We're probably 8-10 laps into this, and now's where everybody's handling is going to come in. So we'll keep a watch now and see whose cars start to shine.
Ricky Rudd is 7th in the Winston Cup points, 62 points back of Morgan Shepherd in 6th. He'll pick up a 5-point bonus today.
This is a really important part of this track. Coming up off of turn 2, if you can stay right on the bottom and get in the throttle really hard, man, you can really make some time up there.
See Ricky Rudd's car beginning to drop back just a little bit. I don't know whether he may just be letting the car run along there good and free and not using his tires up, and maybe waiting until a little bit later on in the green flag run. But right now, Ernie is moving out.
Ernie Irvan, driving the same car Davey Allison ran here last year in his final race, was asked about the setup for Loudon.
You know, I have a little bit of experience here from racing a Busch car, but Larry and Davey ran really good here last year, and we kind of go off what we did at Richmond and Phoenix and kind of add all those things together. We've come up with a pretty good setup.
That is the exact same race car the Robert Yates team took here last year. They've had a lot to think about here this week at Loudon. But Ernie now concentrating on maintaining that lead as Jeff Gordon looks over Ricky Rudd.
Yeah, you see Ricky Rudd, all he sees in that mirror when he looks back, there's no straightaway there. It's Jeff Gordon trying to overhaul him for second.
Yeah, it looks like Ricky's car is either pushing or sliding up in the middle of the corner as we watch him come off of turn 4 here. We follow him down the front straightaway. Let's watch if Ricky Rudd's car slides up in the middle of the corner. Let's see if Jeff Gordon's car stays on the bottom. That's been the pattern here the last couple of laps. Yeah, see Ricky come up off that line just a little bit more than Jeff. That's where Jeff is making his time up right now.
Look at this pack. Jeff Bodine underneath Michael Waltrip, Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin as they move past Morgan Shepherd, who's dropping well back.
Looks like the 6th car of Mark Martin. He might have helped that car a little bit. That car is flying right now. He's moving up on Rusty Wallace on the outside there. Watch him when he turns in the corner. The car seems to really be working well through the corner. He moves up just a little bit. Rusty looks like he might be fishtailing just a little bit getting in the corner.
We're going to look at a bit of telemetry here.
154 miles an hour. Terminal velocity.
Going into a flat corner, that's hauling the mail.
You know what's funny here? Folks say, oh yeah, 150 miles an hour. In the middle of the corner, in the middle of these flat corners, the slowest that car goes is 95. That's the slowest it goes.
Well, I tell you what, this is interesting here. As you see Rusty's moving down in the middle of the straightaway. He's telling Mark, okay, Mark, here's the outside. I'm trying not to hold you up. But what else is interesting? Mark Martin hit Morgan Shepherd with his left front corner. For all you chassis men out there, he might have taken that left front and bent it out a little bit. And if Mark has been pushing it off, towing that left front out is going to make his front end turn better. But it could stand a chance to make him a little bit loose later on here.
Or he could tear a tire up, dragging it down the straightaway.
That's right.
Toe out helps turn in. We asked Rusty Wallace to assess his season so far in the points versus this time last year.
I'm not as far behind right now as I was last year, but with all those races all the bad stuff I had happen last year, it was all good stuff this year, and I'm still real close in the same points. I tell you, this Daytona Talladega thing has just killed me in the points. I mean, I've lost 400 points at Daytona Talladega, and I got to figure out how to turn that around. Everywhere else, I've been doing a pretty good job.
Welcome back to Loudon, New Hampshire, where Ray Bestis brakes. We're providing TNN with these great helicopter shots of today's action. Bestin brakes, Ray Bestis. Ernie Irvan in front of Ricky Rudd, and Jeff Gordon has passed Ricky Rudd for second place. That's the lap car of Greg Sachs separating Irvan from the second and third place cars, and it looks like Jeff Gordon is moving on.
Jeff seems to have a lot of straightaway speed, and Ricky was holding him up just a little bit, and this early in the race is give and take type effects on the racetrack, so he just moved over and motioned the 24 car of Jeff Gordon right on by.
You see Jeff Gordon puts his left sides below the yellow line going into the corner there in turn one.
Yeah, you know, when you go down into turn one here at Loudon, New Hampshire, if you go below that yellow line, it's like there's almost some stickum down to the car actually grabs some better pavement and helps turn that front end better. That's why you'll see a lot of those cars go down real low. What
there is there, Kenny, is there is a line, almost a car width of new pavement down at the very bottom. From the IndyCar race, they've had to repave a section down there. It's the lowest point on the racetrack. It's very smooth there. You can see how black it is in that lowest lane. Not lowest lane.
That's
Don't
a good
say
lane,
it,
though.
buddy. But it's a good lane. You get the left tires down on the flat. The track is not banked so much it hurts you much, and you get down on that little bit fresher pavement.
That's the first time we've seen Earnhardt today. He's trying very hard, but right now he's just doing very well just to keep up there. He's got a little bit of a push off the corner. He's not making much time at all.
Kyle Petty took a provisional start, and it's gone by Earnhardt. Now he chases Randy LaJoie.
You know what's interesting here? Kyle was trying to get underneath Randy LaJoie, but let's see if he does this fake out thing, okay? Right now, coming down the straightaway, he can't pass him. He doesn't look like he's going to do it. But usually, what Kyle would do is pull out to the inside, and Randy would look in his mirror and not see him. That would tend Randy to think he's underneath of him. Go a little bit higher in the corner, make it a little bit easier for Kyle to get underneath of him. I think you'll see that a lot all day long.
Kenny, you've run against LaJoie for many a time, and I tell you what, he's pretty hard to fake out. He's earned his feathers in racing, believe you me. He's run on every kind of racetrack. He's a very talented race car driver.
Randy's
a little bit loose there, though.
Yeah, but he is a great race car driver. I run with him every week in the Busch Series, and he's tough to beat.
Just ahead of that group, Dave Marcus, the AEL Storage Rental Chevy, Massachusetts-based company that's been a long-time backer of Marcus. There he is, leading that pack.
You seen Kyle got really, really low there. What that tends to do is put more pressure on the left front and pick the left rear up off the ground, makes the car turn a little bit better. I know when I run my Busch Grand National car here in the Cup car, when you're looking for a little bit of adhesion, you get down, and I think the Cup cars are going to get even lower than the Busch cars.
See Lake Speed there making a move on Earnhardt. I don't think he'll probably have to check up getting in that corner because Earnhardt really runs hard down in the corner. He'll have to make his move coming off the corner if he plans to get Earnhardt.
Lake Speed driving for Bud Moore in the Motorcraft Quality Care Ford. Bud Moore won the biggest auto race in the state of New Hampshire in 1970. When this was a 1.6-mile road course. George Fulmer won the Trans Am, the Boston Herald Trans Am, I believe it was then, for Bud Moore in a Mustang. Ted Musgrave and Sterling Marlin. This is for fourth place.
I think Sterling might be the fastest race car on the. I've been watching him quite a while now, and he seems to have a lot of straightaway speed. The 4 car is famous for having a lot of horsepower, and Tony Glover and all the guys that work on that car do a great job of making it turn good getting in the corner. So if he gets by Ted, I think he'll run right up on the back of Jeff Gordon. He's really running well.
Let's give you a Napa Field standing update. Napa, we keep America running. The running order here at 28 laps into this race. Now, Ted spent a lot of years on the ASA circuit, developed quite a reputation as an excellent chassis man, designed some of his own steering systems, and really knows what's under that car.
He's a really hard racer. You know, he's one of the drivers you see going around the garage area, just really working hard, you know, running up and down pit road, not running, but hustling, you know. He's always on top of his race car. He wants to run as bad as anybody in the garage area. He gives it 110% effort.
John Andretti off the pace, we're told. Back up front, Ernie Irvan.
That looked like a replay that we're showing you, but he's running that flawless every time. It looks like he's got a white mark around the racetrack. He just runs anywhere he wants to. The car's accelerating well, never fishtails or anything. It's really set for this racetrack.
Let's take a look back in the pack at 15th position. Rusty Wallace. About 12 laps ago, he tried to get under Todd Bodine at turn 2, and they got together. And Rusty slid back behind Mark Martin. Now Mark has gone on and passed Todd, but here's Rusty working hard.
Well, Rusty works hard no matter how good the car is working. He's one of those guys that works his arms a lot in the corner, but he gets the job done because when he's moving his arms fast, he's being smooth with it, so he's not jerking his car. He's getting up under Todd now, coming off the corner. He'll probably make a pass getting under this corner.
You know, this has been interesting. I've been watching this battle. One of the rumors going through the pits all the time, and it's come to truth, is that the 75 car, Todd Bodine, his motors are built by Pro Motors, and they really got some horsepower. And Mark Martin and Rusty had a hard time getting by him, and Martin really just pulled away once he got by him.
John Andretti is in the pits. Here's Glenn.
Well, Mike evidently had some kind of tire problem there in for the right side. Well, actually a 4-tire change. Something that John didn't like on the car. He had a little bit of trouble with the right side tire. In fact, the right front is still lying out there. The tire's smoking very heavily, so he may also have a brake problem. I know you get on the brakes pretty hard here, don't you, Kenny, going into these corners?
Glenn, this is one of the toughest racetracks there are on brakes. It's a very, what everybody calls in the Winston Cup fan, so I guess you could say, is that it's a miniature Martinsville, and everybody is really working hard and getting some air to those brakes.
33 laps are completed. Ernie Irvan is the race leader. We'll be right back to Loudon after this. Take a look at turns 1 and 2 here, the south end of the speedway, and you see how narrow the racing groove here is at New Hampshire. Some of that darkness is that new stretch of pavement around the bottom of the racetrack, but a lot of it is race rubber. They don't run up the top part of the racetrack on this flat oval. Same thing, the top right corner of your screen at turns 3 and 4. Mark Martin right now posted in 12th position. There's a look at how he's progressed through this race after starting in 10th place. Drifted well back in the field and now working his way back up through.
Mike, we're only 38 laps into this race, and the groove is really starting to move up, I guess you could say. The guys aren't holding it down on the bottom like they were. Look at here. Dale Earnhardt gets lapped 38 laps into the race. This tells you the story of the day. Ernie Irvan is really flying, and a lot of cars right now are not handling very well.
I guarantee the scanners are getting a good word in right now. I imagine Earnhardt's going, man, we got to do something quick here. 38 laps into the race, Earnhardt went down. That hardly ever happened.
And you know, it's not so much that he's gone a lap down, it's that he's in 30th position right now. So, you know, he is struggling a little bit, but that team is pretty tough, so I'm sure they'll work on that car and try to get it better.
Now, if this were midpoint in the race, the car would get lapped, and once they gave up that lap, would pit for tires, but it seems like it's almost way too early for that.
Yeah, we're only 40 laps into the race now, and I tell you what, we got them strung out everywhere, and the cars that are handling, Ernie is just right on the bottom of this motor now.
That's Ward Burton just ahead in 29th place in the Hardy's car.
Ernie's trying everything he can to get under Ward right now. I don't imagine he'll wait a whole long time before he lets him know he's back there. Whoops.
Whoa, no.
Oh, I wish I hadn't have said that.
So does Ernie.
Well, I think what we've seen there is the NASCAR rules are for a car that's going to lap down to pull to the inside. Ward started to come down and give him a little bit of room, and they just got together.
It's going to be a pretty harmless spin. Ernie has torn the bumper cover off the car. But it looks like he did not impact the wall very hard. It's not like you get in a parking lot collision. So Ernie did not lose a lap. Ward Burton did. His car is running again, and we have the first, make that the second caution of the day. And it comes out at lap 42. Dale Earnhardt got his lap back. Now that's just plastic.
I really think that this is not going to hurt Ernie Irvan at all. A matter of fact, it's going to make him go down the straightaways a little bit faster.
The way the bumpers work on these cars, they have the plastic cover just like your street Thunderbird might, but behind it is a big steel bar to protect the fuel cell. Very unlike the bumper structure on your car, but then again, under the skin, these cars are very unlike your
Mike,
street
the
car.
important part is the trunk is straight there. The spoiler's right, so when they tear that piece off, it won't hurt the handling of the car at all.
Good point. Good point. Pit stops are the order of the day, led by Jeff Gordon, who becomes the third different leader of this race. Ricky Rudd, Sterling Marlin, Jeff Bodine, Ted Musgrave, Kenny Schrader, Terry Labonte, Bobby Labonte, Mike and Darrell Waltrip, Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin in, Steve Grissom. Here's Irvan finally. And 3 leaders cruise at work. And let's show you Ted Musgrave pit work from our overhead cam.
Great shot.
We kind of borrowed this idea from Richard Childress. They tape every pit stop from above like this so they can see how everybody performed. They review it immediately after. Here's Randy.
Well, the 31 car of Ward Burton just goes by the 28 car. Looks like they tore the sheet metal away, the whole rear end of Ernie's car. He's left the pit now. I didn't see a wedge wrench touch to any of these cars, any of the leaders' cars. Doesn't look like that's going to hurt Ernie too bad, guys.
Thanks, Randy. And Ward Burton had a tough time getting into the pit after that skirmish with race leader Ernie Irvan, and the right rear tire was way down on the rim. So caution is out in New Hampshire. We'll be right back. Jeff Gordon leads the Slick 5300 here at New Hampshire International Speedway. Welcome back to TNN's live coverage. I'm Mike Joy with Buddy Baker and Kenny Wallace, Glenn Jarrett and Randy Pemberton in the pits. And there is bumperless Ernie Irvan running 22nd after this happened.
Well, they're coming out of the corner here, and I think the 28 car accelerated really fast there. It gets in the left rear quarter of Ward Burton, turns him just a little bit, and he had to spin himself to keep from getting really collected up. Maybe both of them going in the outside wall. You see Earnhardt going by there to get his lap back.
Here's another angle, buddy. And it's very self-explanatory. Right here, I can guarantee you they're both thinking, I hope I don't hit that inside wall, and watch what Ernie does. His nose just skims right along that guardrail. And when we got a close-up view of his nose, we could definitely see there was just a little bit of, here we go, we'll see Ernie's nose. Okay, they're both spinning.
It don't matter how many times you show that, it's the same result.
Yes. Now watch Ernie's car here. Very close and very lucky that he didn't knock no brake ducts
It
out.
rained really hard here last night, and when they hit that mud there, if it had been a dry day, it would have hit the inside wall really hard, but it started skating down the racetrack.
I think you're right. Let's get an assessment on the damage from Ernie Irvan's pit. Randy?
Well, Larry McReynolds taking notes down here. He takes copious notes, takes more notes than anybody in this garage area. I'll try and sneak in real quick. Larry, what about the sheet metal going on the back? What will that do to the chassis setup? Will that hurt you badly?
Really don't think so. You know, we've seen some places where the rear bumper gone has actually been an advantage, but I think here at Loudon, as slow as the speeds are in the corner, the car really shouldn't even know it.
He got his composure after that?
Yeah, I mean, Ernie don't ever lose his composure, you know, and he knows we got 250 laps to go, and we just got to be careful getting around these cars.
Okay, talk about not losing your composure. That's this guy right here, Larry McReynolds.
Thanks, Randy. Some of his notes there. Copious notes. Every team has them on every track on the circuit. See Irvan in 22nd position. Lowest he's been posted all day. The caution was a break for Dale Earnhardt and Dave Marcus. Earnhardt got his lap back. Marcus was about to be lapped when the caution came out. Several questions on our 800 number, half dozen on who gets the in-car cameras. Well, every network has their own policy, but on TNN, we approach the program advertisers first if they'd like to carry a camera on the car, and then we go to other cars and other teams that we think might give us a good show for you, the viewers. That's how it's determined. There are some teams that we have asked that decline to carry a camera because they're afraid it might either upset the driver's concentration by its movement or upset the weight balance of the car. That's why you don't see them in some cars too often. You can call in your questions to us at 800-451-7331. The call is free. The car is not. I think we've established that. So give us a ring. And And we'll be back to New Hampshire under the second caution of the day here at lap 48. We'll be right back after this. Green flag waves here at New Hampshire. A shot from our Ray Bestis brakes helicopter shows Joe Nemechek trying to get a lap back, and there's that new strip of pavement. Jeff Gordon tries to keep four wheels on, but Nemechek is there.
That was a smart move on Jeff Gordon's part to realize Nemechek had the preferred line. He did not pull down. He was waiting on the straightaway, but it looks like Nemechek may get his lap back. You see Sterling going into the lead there, going in third corner.
What you're seeing right now is you're seeing a really hard race car driver, Joe Nemechek, early in the race, only 50 laps in the race. He's trying to get his lap back, get back in this race. So, you know, I mean, he's got to keep on running hard.
He's back on the lead lap in the Meineke number 41, but Sterling Marlin becomes the fourth different leader.
Sterling Gleason and Ricky Rudd made a few adjustments in the pit stop there. He's up to second now. Jeff Gordon's falling back just a little bit. I don't think his car really got back up to speed quick, and he got caught on the outside. He's all the way back to fourth now.
You know, Buddy, I wonder if it's the gear in Gordon's car. On the initial start of the race, Ernie Irvan pulled him by 4 car lengths down into turn 1.
I don't know, but Nemechek's not going to keep that lead very long. Sterling Marlin's up under him, and Ricky Rudd's right behind him.
Joe Nemechek done all he could do. He had those new tires on there. He led for a couple of laps, and now he's just going to have to go ahead and race. But if there would have been a caution, he would have got his lap back.
Mentioned Randy LaJoie and Dale Jarrett also got their laps back when Ernie Irvan spun. Irvan right now is 21st, and Rudd is hunting the lead.
Ricky Rudd shows signs, Buddy Mike, of a lot of horsepower pulling out right in the middle of the racetrack, trying to get past the 4 car. These are 2 high horsepower cars.
Well, Kenny was fast a while ago on the very get-go, and then after about 6 or 7 laps, he started dropping back. We'll see if the adjustments they made on the pit stop really help him as the tires get hotter. But Jeff Gordon, as you said, the gear may have something to do with it. You see him there in third, and he seems to be pulling up on the lead cars just a little bit now. Ricky's going for the lead in turn 1.
And he'll take it.
It was a very interesting lead exchange there, because usually here you get a good bite getting up off the corner and you get your nose up underneath somebody. Ricky come up off the corner with him and pulled out the pass him at the start-finish line.
Trouble on Schrader's car. He was 4th, and he just dropped 3 positions going into turn 3. Now Rusty pulling up on him. I don't know if he just got loose coming out of 2 or what happened to Schrader. Well, he seems to be at speed now, but just in an instant, he dropped 3 positions.
You know, after a restart, a lot of times you think you have it pulled back in gear really well, and then it snap out of gear going down the straightaway like that. There's something wrong with the car. I don't know whether it's jumping out of gear or what's wrong with it, but you see it's lost power. He's on the inside of the racetrack now trying to get back to the pits.
5th place point man, Ken Schrader.
Boy, Sterling wants to lead. He's doing everything he can to get back by Ricky Rudd now. You see Jeff Gordon made it 3 men going for the lead now.
Next time by, you'll watch Marlin in turn 4. Watch those white gloves on the wheel of the Kodak car. Coming off the corner. He's kind of smooth coming into the corner, but he really works that wheel coming out.
One thing about Jeff Gordon, he is a very, very precise race car driver. When he starts towards the front, you better have a good race car if you plan to keep him behind you.
Glenn Jarrett is in Ken Schrader's pit.
Well, Mike, I asked Ken Howes when you said to Kenny slow down a little bit there. He said there wasn't a problem. Then he started talking to Kenny on the radio. He looked at me, shrugged his shoulders, thinks it's an electrical problem. They're really not sure right now. They've gone to the backup electrical system. They're changing that right now. The car's still running a little ragged, so this may be one of those try again things. But and now he shuts the car off, so we'll get back to him when we find out what it is.
4th place, Jeff Bodine and Ted Musgrave.
Jeff Bodine is flying. He is on Hoosier tires. That's the first Hoosier car to make his presence known right now, and he's in 4th place and getting through the corners very, very fast.
Ken Schrader, 41-second pit stop. He will lose a lap here. Make that 2.
You know, it's a shame what's happened here to Kenny Schrader. He's been one of the strongest, most consistent race cars all year long, and is finding himself up in the top 5 of the points. And although he hasn't lost a whole bunch of laps here, I believe he'll be a couple, 2 or 3 down right now.
Ted Musgrave's car is a rocket ship, too. That car is getting around. You see Terry Labonte come in the frame there. You said they cut the snout of the race car off this morning, made it a or yesterday and made changes on that race car. Whatever they done really worked, because Terry was out to lunch and he's up in the top 5 positions right now.
You know, it's interesting what we do every year with these race cars. We go to bank tracks and we think we need a different roll center. We go to a flat track, we think we need a different roll center. Gary Dehart and all the people in Hendrick Motorsports build their own race cars. Even though this car won at North Wilkesboro is a little bit semi-banked racetrack. This is about as flat as you can get, comparable to a Milwaukee or a Phoenix. So whatever they've done, you can't condemn them, because, buddy, like you said, he's coming to the front.
Yeah, like Milwaukee, the turns are banked here at New Hampshire about the same as the straightaways are banked at Dover.
Then there was 5. Here we go. You notice the lead cars, they're all together now. It looks to me like Jeff Bodine's got a real fast car, but Ted Musgraves is really helping him. They're bumper to bumper, and they're really coming up. There's a lot of draft here, even though it's a flat racetrack. Down the straightaways, they really draft well here.
We are 61 laps in, as into the wall goes Bobby Hamilton and Hut Strickland.
Whoa, hold that thing, boy.
Hamilton backs up into traffic. Hut Strickland against the wall in the Smokin' Joe's car. And Bobby Hamilton grabs the gear.
Whoa. He's got a problem with the car. He's not meaning to do all this stuff. He's wanting out of harm's way there.
They want to try to get to pit road.
I'd have to say he's very upset.
Well, couldn't get all the way around the racetrack with that right rear. In fact, the right front is pretty well cambered out as well. We're under caution for the 3rd time today. We'll be right back. We're back live at New Hampshire on TNN. 3 cautions for more than 11 laps. Bobby Hamilton getting the worst end of that one with a shredded right rear. Here's what happened.
Looked like he and Hut might have touched a little bit. Bobby got into the outside wall really hard with the right rear. Now here's the dangerous part. He starts backing up. Look at Lake Speed. Whoa! Another coat of paint, and that would have been bad.
Watch the red Coors car of Mike McLaughlin just barely miss this one.
Tim Steele did a great job of missing there also.
And Jeff Burton.
You don't get any closer than that, Kenny.
No, that is some tight racing up here at Loudon. The corners are not banked very much, and it looked like they just got together. They're coming up off the 4.
Hut Strickland behind the wall. When things happen on the racetrack, the drivers signal each other there's trouble ahead, and they do it with hand signals. From the Buck Baker Driving School, here is Professor Buddy Baker.
You know, every week with the in-car camera, you see us using hand signals to let the driver behind you know what's going on. It's our way of communicating without actually talking. The hand signal you see the most is when you see a driver going back and forth like that. That's to let the car behind you know there's trouble on the racetrack or either an accident up front, and it gives them time to slow down so they don't run in the back of you. Another hand signal we use, with 1 lap to go after a caution, you put up 1 finger so the car behind you knows that they're going to drop the green right away. Another signal you see is when your car is not handling just right, you'll let a guy in the early stages of a race know to go by on the outside like that. And, you know, it's a give and take sport, and you have to let them know what's going on. These signals will keep you out of a lot of trouble.
Okay, these guys up here in the booth want me to elaborate on that a little bit. North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, Ernie Irvan was really fast, and Rusty had just put on some new tires and got by Ernie. And Ernie gave him a little love tap getting in the corner. And, of course, Rusty wears white gloves. He stuck his hand out there, and it didn't make Rusty very happy. And he rotated his hand saying, "Come on up here, Ernie, just come on." And I said, "Rusty, what were you doing then?" He said, "Well, he made me mad." And I thought if he wanted some more, come on up. And he said, "I learned that from Buddy Baker." So, Buddy, when you got in some scraps at Martinsville or something and somebody got a piece of it, you said, "Come on, let's go."
Listen, I was the most even-tempered racer that ever lived. I stayed mad.
Yeah, all the time.
So although in that piece Buddy done, you give hand signals the appropriate ones, sometimes there are, as everybody knows, not very appropriate hand signals.
Like the "you're number 1" in my book signal. Next Saturday, we'll go to South Boston, Virginia, and bring you the Ford Credit 300. Busch Grand National Race live here on TNN, 5 p.m. Eastern Time from South Boston.
And Kenny's already told me, come on up, guys. We're going to win. He told me that at Myrtle Beach and almost done it.
Man, I'll tell you, I just got to say it one more time. My guys back in Nashville, Tennessee, Philmar Racing, Gil Martin, and Philbert Martasi, they're giving me winning race cars, and we've had some bad luck, so we're going to try to win that one in Southpaw still.
All right, from the 800 number, Dan from Washington wants to know, why do the Winston Cup cars use 5 lug nuts?
Pretty obvious. Hold the wheel on.
Oh. Dan, Roger Penske, when he had the Matador team, brought a car to the track with only 3 lug nuts, evenly spaced in a triangle, thinking that they could hold the wheel on that way and save time on pit stops. NASCAR said, no thank you. And all cars have 5 lug nuts. Because it's the rule. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett.
Well, Mike, to finish up on Ken Schrader, they did change both the ignition box and the battery. It cleared the problem up, so he's back out running. He got lost the lap, though, but they've got him cleared up. We're trying to get a word with Hut Strickland here. He's crawled from his car. Hut, looks like some pretty serious damage there. What is it?
Well, I think it's been a bunch of stuff on the steering on the front. You know, we're going to change that, and then I think it's been a trailing arm or something on the back. But, you know, just an unfortunate thing that happens out there. You know, the racetrack's coming apart down there in 3 and 4, and I was following Ernie through, coming around behind, past the 40 car, I guess it was, and just got down in that loose stuff, and, you know, just wasn't nothing I could do, you know, just sit there and hang on.
Okay, better luck to you next time. Hope to see you back out there. We're getting ready to go green.
At 66 laps, Ricky Rudd is the leader. Sterling Marlin, Jeff Gordon, Jeff Bodine, Ted Musgrave, no change among the front 5, and here's what Ernie Irvan's done today after that spin with Ward Burton going back to 22nd. He has climbed to 16th. 6th is Terry Labonte, 7th is Rusty Wallace, 8th Darrell Waltrip, 9th is Derek Cope, and 10th Bobby Labonte as we go back to green.
Nemechek got on the throttle there, and the car turned sideways. Kenny Schrader almost collected him there.
I'd say Joe Nemechek had one heck of a second gear in that transmission and some horsepower to go along with it. He literally lit the rear tires up.
Jeff Gordon grabs a handful of wheel as he works outside of Mike Wallace in the Heilig-Myers Ford. There's Gordon upside of Mike Wallace, who is a lap down.
Well, it's hard to pass here. When a car's on the inside there, on the outside, you really have to walk on hollowed ground, as they say, because you're out there where if you slip one time, it's to the wall.
You know, we heard Hut Strickland just comment that the track was coming up a little bit. On Friday, it was almost 100 degrees here, and we had a problem with the track. That's why Bill Elliott set a new track record the next day. So it's hard to run right around that bottom when somebody's on the outside of you. You've got to be very careful. You see Dick Trickle getting on the inside of Mike Wallace. And
yeah, new look for the Dick Trickle car, left side of your screen, number 32, Skybox cars, now Trickle sponsored. There's Jeff Bodine in the inside batteries Ford.
Boy, oh boy, Rusty was really lucky there. Something happened to Darrell. He must have slipped just a little bit, and Rusty almost got in the back of him. He crossed up, and 2 or 3 cars got by him, but it was really lucky not to get involved in an accident.
Rusty Wallace, the Miller Genuine Draft Ford number 2, behind Labonte. Kellogg Chevy.
Brotherly love. Goodbye. See
there
you in
they
a
are.
little while.
Both my brothers next to each other. Mike on the outside, Rusty on the inside. So I'm sure Mike's saying, "Go on, brother."
No, he's not saying anything like that. Brothers race brothers very hard.
Sure. How long have you been related to them?
My whole life.
Okay. Act like it, will you?
Hey, man, I'm trying to be fair. You know, that's funny. My sister-in-law, Patty Wallace, told me, she says, "Why do you call Rusty Wallace on TV?" And I said, well, you know, you just try to be fair because, I mean, that's Rusty Wallace. And if I say my brother, and we got new fans coming, and they don't know who he is, so I just call them by their full names.
Okay. Rusty started 18. He's up to 7.
That's with very determined driving style. Also a great pit crew. Every time he comes in, he picks up about 3 or 4 spots in the pits.
Last time he went into the pits 14th and came out 8th. Picked up 6 spots. Caution before this one.
You know, we're going to go back to the 7 car right now and watch a race here as he comes up on Dick Trickle. This duo has been going pretty strong here. The 7 car, Jeff Bonine, and the 16 car, Ted Musgrave, get on the inside of Dick Trickle. You know, we're really happy for Dick Trickle catching a really good sponsor like this, Skybox, and it's a really bright car. Matter of fact, Teddy Musgrave and Trickle's car kind of match, guys.
Yeah, he'd like to get back on the bottom of the racetrack, though. There's several people got by him there. This outside of the racetrack, it looks like there's a lot of racetrack out there, but the real groove and everything's right on the bottom of the racetrack. You get on the outside, everybody goes by.
Yeah, you're right. Musgrave and Trickle's cars clash with everything, except maybe that tie I had at Dover.
That's right.
Let's go to Randy Pemberton. Update us on Jeff Bodine.
Well, I just want to let you guys know that Jeff Bodine, we haven't talked much about the Hoosier-Goodyear battle, but he is on Hoosiers. I talked to their PR guy, Paul Mecca. I didn't get to Paul Andrews, the crew chief, but they said it takes a little while for the Hoosier to come in today. So Jeff Bodine's hoping that right around 25 laps on a new set of tires, who's really cooking. So we'll have to keep an eye on Jeff Bodine. He is on Hoosiers today.
Thanks, Randy. 73 of 300 laps in. Ricky Rudd flashes across the line to lead lap 74 in the tied four. Ricky Rudd and Bill Engel have built themselves quite a race team in a little over 7 months.
Ricky's got quite a lead right now. He's got almost a half a turn on Sterling Marlin. You see Jeff Gordon, though, he's getting it all together now. He's moving up on Sterling. It won't be long before he tries him for second place.
You know, Buddy Baker, you pointed something out earlier at the top of the show that made a lot of sense. It rained a lot here, and the track looked very lightly gray. Now you can see this track as Ted Musgrave gets underneath Jeff Bodine. Now you can see the corners getting really black. They're starting to lay a lot of rubber down.
Mark Martin backing up a bit. Michael Waltrip and Todd Bodine there in the Factory Stores Adidas T-bird just went by him. Michael in the Pennzoil car. And Mark was caught up to the outside. Don't know if that car has lost the handle or if they just got position on him. We'll ride with him a bit here and see.
Seems to be running down the straightaway pretty fast. I don't know. He seems to be losing, and well, he's picking up great off the corner. Maybe he's just trying to get by Michael without really causing any problems. It's very early in this race, and a lot of things will happen before it's over.
76 laps complete here at New Hampshire. Only 3 caution flags thus far. And a pretty incident-free race. And Ricky Rudd opens up his lead. We'll be right back. Dick Trickle slow out of turn 2. I believe that's Trickle. There's a car slow there. It is. Down off the pace as we hit lap 80 here. And you're watching Ernie Irvan, who was up to 7th place. He just went past Rusty Wallace while we were in break to climb up to 7th. Ed from Missouri called in on the 800 number, wanted to know if Mark Martin's team fixed the tie rod on the pit stop. Let's find out from Randy Pemberton.
No, they didn't. I talked to Steve Neal about that. They said they came in, they measured it. It was towed out about 3/8. And when Kenny and Buddy were talking about it a little while ago, it might even help him. Steve Neal said they're just going to go ahead and leave it. They like the way the car's working, so I guess no big deal.
Well, Ed from Massachusetts wants to know if the tow out or tow in on these race cars is much like it would be on his street Thunderbird.
Not at all. Yeah. I'll let Kenny get into that. I tell you, each racetrack, like Martinsville, you'd run a half-inch of tow out or more to make that car turn well and really hold the bike coming up out of the corner. So you set it different for the different type racetracks, where a road car is basically straight ahead.
About a 16th toe in, 16th to an 8th toe in on a lot of street cars, so the wheel stays straight. Right. Make them easy to drive.
Basically, what's happening with Mark Martin right now is what we call crutch in racing. In other words,
crutching?
It's a crutch. In other words, his left front wheel is bent out, and it's probably going to help him. But at the garage and in the pits, we wouldn't set the car up like that because, like Buddy said, it's dragging the left front wheel going down the straightaway. You see the 7 car of Jeff Bodine really coming on strong as he's moving into 2nd place right now. And this is things great about flat tracks. He's going, the 16 car Ted Musgrave is going to fill that hole as quick as he can.
The impressive part is that, you see Bodine really get sideways there just for a second, but he's back straight and going now. But everything that Jeff Bodine does, Ted Musgrave does right behind him. They've really come up through there. They passed Sterling Marlin and Jeff Gordon and the Bear to get into 2nd spot now.
You know, we're riding in Jeff Bodine, this is Jeff Gordon's car, excuse me, and he's running really strong, running really smooth, and he's been doing this all year long now. But what I was going to get to is the 16 car Ted Musgrave coming up off of 4 right now. You know, we're 84 laps into this race now, and it looks like he's going to be a contender for a top 5 today.
Do you work more on the chassis, Mike from New York wants to know, on a flat track than you do on a bank track to chase the track and chase the car all day?
No, I think setups basically you have to have a race car that does what you want it to do everywhere you want it to do it, and you work just as hard for Daytona as you do for Martinsville.
I think Buddy's right, definitely. You know, some drivers prefer flat tracks, some drivers, it's not what they prefer, it's just that their talent shows up sometimes better on another track. But every racetrack these Winston Cup cars go to, I mean, we're constantly changing air pressures and toe in, toe out, spring shocks.
See Ernie Irvan moving right up on the back of Schrader there. He is really making a march towards the front. He was the fastest car before he got involved with a tangle with Ward Burton, and now he's moving right back up into the front.
Mark Martin getting underneath Morgan Shepherd. That will be back at 12th place. Ernie Irvan is now up to 6th, and he is only 5.5 seconds behind the leader. Good battle going on here for 12th position on back. And Jeff Gordon goes past Sterling Marlin into 4th.
I think Sterling's lost the handle just a little bit. They'll need to work on this car when the next caution comes out or when they make their green flag stop, because the car is definitely a little bit loose. He's not getting off the corner like he wants to.
87 make it 88 laps on the board right now, and Ricky Rudd is piling them up as Ernie Irvan goes after Schrader. Not for track position, though. Ray Bestis Brakes, the best in brakes, giving you these helicopter shots of the New Hampshire International Speedway. And you see now the grandstand seats move nearly halfway around the Magic Mile. In the backstretch, you go out to the outfield road course. As you're riding right now with Derek Cope, he is the cause of this caution flag, the 4th one of the day. We were riding along with him with this shot of the face cam, the steering column cam, as we saw Derek have trouble up in turn number 4 and smack the wall. That's brought out this most recent caution.
Well, Mike, the laps before this, he was in a lot of trouble. He was fighting the car pretty hard, almost got the wall in 1 and 2, and he was fighting the steering all the way around the racetrack, and he finally just run out of racetrack.
Here's Randy on pit road.
Well, it looks like it's 4 tires all the way around. We're just getting ready to see when these guys would pit for fuel. From what I understand, they can go about 65 laps. That doesn't seem like a lot on a mile track. Left side tires on Rudd's car, save for Jeff Bodine. Rudd is down to race off of pit road. Ernie Irvan, does he beat him?
Yes, he does. Ricky Rudd wins the race off pit road as they will line up for the restart after Derek Cope has found his way into the fence at turn number 4. Let's check with Glenn Jarrett.
Well, Mike, I was in Ernie Irvan's pit, routine pit stop. They did not make any chassis adjustments on the car. I asked Larry McReynolds if ripping the rear bumper away once he got out and ran it, if they could tell any difference. He said no. Once that Ernie had clear racetrack, he was running basically the same lap times he was before he had that little altercation with Ward Burton. So, like they suspected, and like we all suspicion, did not hurt the car at all.
Reminds me of a time,
Daytona 500.
when Bobby Allison
That's it.
lost a bumper right in front of Buddy Baker, was it not?
I'll tell you what, it looked like the side of a truck coming to me.
And that's when they used real metal bumpers, folks.
Yeah, indeed. It weighed about 15 pounds.
Let's show you what happened to Derek Cope to bring out this caution in the Cale Yarborough Fingerhut Ford.
He's in serious trouble right there. And as they say, the rest is formality. He's just on the way to the wall there. The steering wheel's just something to hold on to when you get that far around. He's real lucky here. Kyle Petty goes by on the bottom side there. You can see the car just got loose on him. He was having trouble way before this happened. We had our cameras on him. He was fighting the wheel pretty hard from the in-car camera, and finally got around with him. Now, you see these white parts when they look like you can't see them. Oh, here it comes. Boom.
He was looking at that wall, making sure it wasn't going to hurt too hard.
Man, I don't like that sound. I've heard it too many times.
94 laps complete. 4th caution of the day, but Derek Cope is back in the race. We'll be right back to New Hampshire after this. You're riding with Terry Labonte as we get ready for a restart. In a lap or two here, seventh place, Terry Labonte. Dave Marcus is leading. 4th race he's led this year. He just made a pit stop, and Ricky Rudd's back in front. Here's Randy.
Well, I'll tell you, if there were some NASCAR rules with how high a crew chief could sit on pit road, Gary Dehart might be breaking. You're about 6 feet off the ground here, and you ought to be. The car's running really well. I know you guys worked on it, changed the whole thing around. What's Terry saying about it? Is it perfect or close?
The car's not perfect. It could use some grip running front and rear, but it's a whole lot better than we practiced yesterday. We changed a bunch of stuff on the car. Took to stab in the dark. Hit it pretty good. If we stay out trouble, we have a good day.
Good luck, Gary.
There's a look at Dale Earnhardt. He is 27th, and now on the tail end of the lead lap.
Here's one I got to read. The 800 number, Wayne Woodard from Indiana. Is there an organization for ex-Grand National drivers? Now, he hadn't been around for a while. This is Winston Cup now. So you know that he wants to know. Let me tell you, our careers last pretty well for drivers. And when we quit, we get into things like I'm doing right now, or get into owning cars, or, you know, you want to stay busy with the sport. It's been so good to us. But as far as continuing on, we're not like golfers. You make a mistake out there at 180 miles an hour, it's a little different than missing the putt.
Well, we don't have the seniors tour, do we?
No. 1-800-451-7331. Got a lot of questions. We'll try to get to some of yours as we go along here. And the rest, we can't get to them. We'll pass them along to Inside Winston Cup Racing that you see each week here on TNN. And Randy, Ned, and the folks there may be able to deal with them on their weekly show. Green flag at lap 98 here at the Magic Mile. Ken Schrader is 2 laps down. Ricky Rudd is trying to hold him there, but Schrader has the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, Schrader's got the best line there. And, you know, 2 laps don't mean a lot here at this racetrack. If he had a caution the next lap by, he'd get one of his laps back and be in contention again. So you can't just roll over and go down.
You know, before we had that caution, Kenny Schrader was running like about 5th or 6th on the racetrack. His car is still very competitive. So he's going to work hard to get those 2 laps back today.
Front 5 all in a row behind Schrader.
Boy, that car of Ricky Rudd's is really fast. But look who's in second right now. Ernie Irvan has worked his way back into contention to lead this race again. And I'm afraid when he gets in the lead, he's going to stink his thing up a little bit because that car is flying.
That's another car that before caution came legitimately from 16th position clear up to about 3rd or 4th. Ernie Irvan, I don't think it'll be very long here before he'll definitely inside some of these guys. I think he's got himself in a position right now where he's got to be a little bit comfortable. He made his way from the back to second place now. You know, it's not going to hurt him to sit there and be a little patient.
The guy I'm really impressed with today is running in 3rd place. Ted Musgrave is flying around this racetrack. He's taking every advantage he can. He's sitting there biding his time, and he's got a really good race car.
You know, and the reason we give guys like that calls because we know how hard they are. We talked about it earlier. Ted works real hard. He's got his new crew chief, Robin Pemberton. Howard Comstock is really in there every week with him, too, ahead of R&D.
Ooh, lead change. Ernie Irvan goes for it, gets it. Ricky Rudd locked onto the back bumper, but Irvan goes back to the front. Let's go check at the Ricky Rudd pits. Here's Glenn.
Well, Bill Engel, the car's running awfully well, but you said you got a lot of concern about that black 28.
Yeah, that 28 car is running awful strong right now, which they do every week. You know, we've talked a lot about this. I don't believe we can beat those guys on a consistent basis with what we got, but I believe on a given day that we can do it, and this may possibly be that given day.
You guys, a lot of guys were guessing at the setups. You seem to have hit it pretty well.
Yeah, right now, it's my first trip here. I've never been to New Hampshire before to race, and I like this place.
Obviously, he likes it. He's running up front.
I should say so. He's in second place right now.
You know, I want to address what he just said. With what they have the best they can get right now, but they don't have a full season together. They don't have the notes and things that the 28 car does. They have a book, you know, what they do and things that work. And right now, Ricky Rudd's in the process of learning. We see Ted Musgrave eating him alive, getting in the corner there. This car is really getting around the corners.
Napa, we keep America running. Here's how they're running. Here's your field standing update of 100 laps. Jeff Bodine makes a move on Jeff Gordon, and that will change 4th place right there.
This is a great race for second. These 2 cars are really handling well. It's who's got the little bit better car at this point of the race because Ricky Rudd has led and Ted Musgrave has been in the top 5 all day. Here we go for second.
Now that's a simple case of Ricky Rudd. Look back in the mirror. He was holding him up a little bit. Ted was gaining like 3 or 4 car lengths at the end of each straightaway. He was very early. We have Tim Steele in the wall.
That is the 2nd crash of the weekend for the Bobby Allison team. They had a brand new white, red, and gold painted car that they brought here, and Tim crashed at the first day of practice. Chuck Bowen is here, by the way, Bobby Allison's regular driver. still recovering from his crash and hopeful of getting back in a Winston Cup car just as soon as his recovery will allow. So Tim Steele having a tough day against the wall here between turns 1 and 2. It's the 5th caution of the day. We'll be back to New Hampshire International Speedway live on TNN after this. Dale Earnhardt is on pit road as we're under caution at lap 106. Getting 4 tires. And Tim Steele has come to a halt. Track workers, the whole left front of that car right on the ground. And I mentioned that Chuck Bound hoping to be back soon. It will not be behind the wheel of Bobby Allison's car. He has been released by the Allison team. And you see Tim Steele go up to the fence.
Mike, he just went in a little bit hard. It looked like the back of the car come around. He went out into the outside wall there. A lot of damage there. Yeah, you see the front end, back end hits first and the front end slams around into it. A lot of damage there.
In a press release, Bobby Allison stated the decision to release Bound had nothing to do with his crash or recovery, but was an economic one. So Tim Steele is the new driver for the Bobby Allison team, who is still seeking a full-time sponsor. We're at New Hampshire International Speedway, which just in a few short years has become one of the great show places of this sport and a model for other racetracks. Glenn?
Bob Bear had a dream of owning a major league racing facility, a showcase for racing in the New England area. In 1988, the Hampshire Motor Park came up for sale, and with that, Bob Bear's dream started to come true. The old facility was plowed under, and construction of the first low-bank super speedway in over 2 decades started. And just over a year later, the New Hampshire International Speedway came into being. Now with each race, there's something new. Bob Bear Speedway continues to be a model for racetracks everywhere.
And now we're back for our second trip to Loudon this year, and the improvements continue. One of the first things they did was to double the size of the media center. There's a lot of interest in this race up here. We need a lot of room for the press guys to work. It's one of the nicest facilities on the Winston Cup circuit. However, the improvements didn't stop here. Let's take a look at what else they've done. Now from here, the Bears took a different route. Where most tracks might build luxury suites for corporate sponsors, they built a really nice competitors lounge, a place where the drivers, the crews can come and get away from all the noise, the hustle, and the bustle. But the crowning touch was this, the Competitors Family Center. This is unique, nothing else like it on the Winston Cup circuit. They built a place where the wives and children could come and get out of all the noise.
I don't see any toy race cars to play with, do you?
Hey, that's really nice. You know, that keeps the family of NASCAR all together, where you can bring your kids and not gone from home so much. We'll do a call in real quick. Jim from California asked why these cars are called stock cars. Well, it's very simple. It's because these cars, we try to portray the cars that you drive on the street. So they're called stock cars. And basically for years, that's the way they've been. An Indy car would not be called a stock car.
No. I guess technically you'd have to call them stock appearing cars, because they do look very much like the cars you drive on the street, but underneath the skin, as we pointed out, they are quite different, and they are purpose-built from the ground up as race cars now. Getting set for a restart. Ernie Irvan is the leader. Ted Musgrave, Ricky Rudd, Jeff Bodine, and Jeff Gordon, the top 5. Rusty Wallace up to 6th. Terry Labonte, the 7th. Sterling Marlin, Darrell Waltrip, and Mark Martin. That's the top 10. Then Bill Elliott, the new track record holder. Todd Bodine, Brett Bodine, Bobby Labonte, and Michael Waltrip.
Boy, the back corner on Nemechek's car kicked out there. He's trying to get those laps back. You see Ricky Rudd ducking in under him, trying to get the preferred line going in the next corner. But it's really hard to pass here because the race cars run down the straightaway pretty even here.
Right now, I think you see the 2 quickest cars up front. You got Ernie Irvan and Ted Musgrave pulling away from the field, but we got one heck of a battle for third.
There's a look at Musgrave, where he's been today. On up to second place.
You know, Kenny, here is a classic example of 2 great short track drivers here. Ernie Irvan won a lot of races at Concord. Ted Musgrave comes from up in this area. He's raced all over the country. Excellent mechanic. Both these boys could build a race car in their backyard if they wanted to. And that's what racing's going to, the good mechanics that can relate to a guy what the car needs and know how to fix it themselves.
Although Ted Musgrave won a lot of, or ran a lot of races in ASA, he won and really hung a fight for the lead. He won a lot of races in ARTCO, short tracks, quarter miles, 3/8. That's where Ted Musgrave really comes from. He had about a 2-year, as we would say, stint on the ASA circuit, but it looked like Ernie got in there just a little bit high, and his car slid up a little bit. And as we've been bragging on Ted all day, he hasn't let us down here. He passes Ernie Irvan to the lead.
Well, what a turnaround of that team. It's only the second race that Musgrave has led in the 1994 season.
Well, boy, when you pass Ernie Irvan on this racetrack, you've done a job, and he is pulling away now.
And now on TNN, the Nepotism Network, Randy Pemberton interviews the new crew chief for Ted Musgrave, his brother Robin.
Hey, Robin, I don't want to jinx you, but boy, only the second race you guys have led all year. You and Howard have done a heck of a job with the car. Ted's doing a great job out there.
That stuff was all here when I got here. I don't know what to tell you. It's a good group, and we're working real good together. Patience. We got to learn a little patience here.
Well, maybe Robin doesn't want to see that car up front. We're running so hard that early in the race.
Well, maybe he wants him to follow one of the best in the business. He can learn a lot.
Trouble, turn one. Jimmy Spencer, Dale Earnhardt, Lake Speed go around.
And Mike,
boy, I didn't see
Mike,
it
you
start.
don't have to give me a hand signal. I jumped all the way out of my seat then.
I just saw the cloud of smoke as those three cars got together. We come back to caution at lap 114.
I tell you, that was a great call, Mike, too. And you said Dale Earnhardt was involved. That was very, very close for the man running for the championship. He almost got into the wall there. Dale Earnhardt's got a lot of battle scars on the right side of that car already. It shows how tough of a race this has been so far.
Earnhardt, 22nd, still on the lead lap. We're under caution. We'll be right back. Green flag at lap 116. They've just taken the green, and Ernie Irvan steps it out. Ted Musgrave, Ricky Rudd, then Ken Trader, 2 laps down. Jeff Bodine, Jeff Gordon, and Rusty Wallace. Terry Labonte, Sterling Marlin up with that pack. Mark Martin, Todd Bodine, Darrell Waltrip. Let's show you what happened down there in turn 1 to bring out the caution.
Okay, we're watching this with you, folks. Here we go. Okay, it looks like Lake Speed
got sideways. He hit the back of Jimmy Spencer. And Earnhardt did a very good job of staying out of a big mess there.
Good call, buddy. It was really close there for Earnhardt.
Third place here. Jeff Bodine giving Ricky Rudd a wave. One of those hand signals we talked about.
Yeah, but Jeff went right on by, and these Hoosiers are starting to really work into a position where they may be a dominant tire here.
I think that wave was a thank you. Ricky Rudd gave him a bit of room. Jeff went on by.
You know, I tell you, as a race car driver, you're sitting there running along, and somebody's just hounding you all over. Every time you look in your mirror, all you see is that sponsor's logo. Sometimes you've had enough of it. You know, that's that guy's way of telling you, hey, let me go here. Either I can hit you in the rear or go on.
Bobby Labonte
there.
Bobby Labonte with Earnhardt. Bobby, the Maxwell House car, had a good qualifying run, 4th. As they pass Randy LaJoy.
Looks like Randy may, he's learning a lot by running some Western Cup races. Nobody knows how these cars change until you start running longer races. The heavier cars in the Busch Grand National, you know what to fix your car like. But until you really feel these cars get away as far as handling, you have no idea how to fix it for later on in the race.
You know, if Randy can run this race all day long, stay out of trouble, he's at the end of this day, next time he comes back, he's going to know what to do. He really did a good job moving down for some of the competitors right now. Jimmy Henderson is on the inside of him. He's having some handling problems, but he'll be better next time he comes back.
LaJoy 1 lap down. Loose, Dale Jarrett, that Green Interstate Batteries car.
Dale Jarrett's already run 500 miles today. He's been all over this racetrack. He's doing a great job of keeping that car straight, but it is extremely loose.
120 forward and 180 sideways. Steve Grissom in number 29 and some heavy traffic there. Let's check with Glenn Jarrett on his brother's fortunes today.
Well, not near as good as Randy Pemberton's brothers, Mike, but I checked with Jimmy Maycar, who's the crew chief on the car, and I asked him what had they not changed on the car so far today. He said the race car. They've changed everything else. He said they're just trying stuff now. They cannot get a handle on the racetrack. They keep changing spring rubber, spring shocks, everything. Every time they get a chance in the pits, they change something on the car. It's a little better, but like Buddy says, he's still got a handful.
This group here 9 seconds behind the leader as Jimmy Spencer blasts underneath Dale Jarrett for 21st position. They're all on the lead lap back through 27th place, Lake Speed.
Mike, when you have a day like Dale Jarrett's having right now, this is what you call a spring dyno. They're out there, they're going to change everything until they hit a good setup. They know they're in trouble today because the car's not working well. All he wants to do now is stay out of trouble and try to get a decent finish and learn what he needs for next time.
You know, Dale Jarrett's still in the lead lap too, so if he can sit there and work on this car towards the end of the pack, and he does happen to get it a lot better, you know, there he is. So Jimmy Makart and Dale Jarrett are definitely going to keep working as hard as they can every pit stop.
Jimmy Spencer's on the move. He just took a spot for Bobby Labonte there. As Steve Grissom and Michael Waltrip get together, Morgan Shepherd takes advantage in the Citgo car. And Dale Earnhardt looks underneath Morgan and underneath Michael Waltrip. Michael just drives it right around on the outside, but Morgan's there.
You know, I think Earnhardt knows how fast Ernie Irvan is. That's why you don't see him really. You never see Earnhardt ride, okay? But he's really trying to get through traffic here because he knows Ernie's got wide open room and he's going to be coming.
Sterling Marlin almost got into the side of the 75 car of Todd Bodine. I mean, he had to really check up, or that had been a bad wreck coming off turn 2.
That looked a lot like early in the race when Mark Martin and Todd were side by side. Now Mark goes to work on Terry Labonte, 7th place here. Mark takes the spot, opens the door for Todd Bodine.
I think Todd Bodine probably has as much potential as any young driver on the racetrack right now. He has a lot of bad luck, though. He seems to be in the wrong place at the right time too many times, but I tell you, he really gives 100%.
Well, he has been in the wrong spot at times, and he's made some rookie mistakes. But I talked to his car owner, Butch Mock, yesterday, and he is really pleased with his young driver. He said, look, when we got together, we made a long-term commitment to each other. That the teams that do well are the teams like Earnhardt and Childress, and the teams that stay together a long time. He says, we're going to be together a long time.
Mike, these are some pretty classy cars they're driving by right now. He's giving Mark Martin all he can handle. He's working him outside there, trying to get his eye in the mirror where he can make that inside pass.
You know, I like what Todd Bodine has done. He's taken a team that had some problems for a couple of years. He took what I consider a great team, but yet at the time a low-profile team. It fit Todd's image to come in and take his time to run up front.
Let's go back up to 2nd and 3rd. We find Ted Musgrave being caught by Jeff Bodine. Again, the first of the Hoosier shod cars in this race is Bodine, number 7.
Mike, it's the first time we've had a real long green flag run, and as they said, Bodine said he was stronger as they go along, and you see him making a move on Ted Musgrave now, and he's actually gaining ground on the leader of Ernie Irvan.
The longest green run we've had today, buddy, is 37 laps between the first and second caution. We've now gone 14 since the last green flag. Jeff Bodine running 3rd on what some of his old New England modified fans would consider a home track for him. We'll be right back to Loudon, New Hampshire after this. Welcome back to Loudon, New Hampshire, live on TNN, where Jeff Gordon has taken over 4th place from Ricky Rudd. Rudd at one time the fastest car on the racetrack and has led this race on 3 different occasions. As the track has changed a bit because the weather has changed. Ernie Irvan still leads, but now we're getting a bit of a cloud cover over the Hampshire International Speedway. That's good for these sun-baked fans, but is it good for these race cars?
Well, it changes the cars that were dominant on the real hot asphalt. You see Ted Musgrave closing in just a little bit on Irvan, and it looks like Bodine's car is really fast right now. He's very content sitting there in 3rd place, but you can see him gaining, coming off the corner there, trying to get up under Musgrave as they come off the corner. That should be for a spot there. Once you get on the inside like that, it's pretty easy to pass.
2nd place changes hands, and Chemung, New York native Jeff Bodine, driving his own race team, has it for the moment, and Musgrave almost returned the favor there.
And I think that's what Robin Pemberton was talking about, a little bit of patience right there. Almost 2 different lead or 2nd place positions in one lap.
Dale Earnhardt running there ahead of Mike Wallace. Now Earnhardt is on the lead lap in 19th position. Let's go to his pits and Randy.
Richard Churlish, looks like you're struggling today. Can Andy and the guys help him out at all? It looks like it's pushing a little.
Yeah, it's got a real bad push right in the center. It takes off for a few laps pretty good, and then it just keeps getting progressively worse. So we're just going to keep adjusting everything we can, try to help it out.
What about the cloud cover? Make any difference?
Yeah, that's even making it worse.
Well, for that team, the change in the weather has not been for the better.
You know, one thing I noticed about Dale Earnhardt's car in practice, I was sitting on top of trucks and trailers yesterday. It looked like his car had a little bit more roll yesterday. What I mean by roll is it looked like the left side of the car picked up off the tires a little bit more than the others. And that's just the difference in race cars, and that's what causes Earnhardt's car to push, and maybe not Ernie Irvan's car. So he's just having a little tough time here, but you know, he's six-time champion. I tell you, it won't take him long, and he'll get himself a good finish out of this, and that's why he wins so many championships, because he'll turn this position into a positive one today.
Consistency is the key. We're back under green at 139 laps, and we asked Dale Earnhardt about his chances today, starting deep in the field.
You can make it up in a race, but you don't want to start, 25th or back, and that's where we started last year, 24th, and it just took a while, and we finally, got up there, but then we had a bad break, so you don't want to get back there and get in trouble.
Michael Waltrip has spun out of turn number 4 to bring out the caution, the 7th one of the day. Pennzoil Pontiac. This race team was started by the brother of the man who owns this racetrack, Bob Bear. His brother Dick Bear started this race team. Lowrance Harry and Chuck Ryder. Bear, Harry, and Ryder. You can track those names. Bahari Racing was the result. Now Dick is a facilities manager for the racetrack. He was out on his bulldozer yesterday helping to clear some things away to make things right and pave a little asphalt here at the track yesterday.
Mike, that was just a case. He got up a little bit out of the groove and got into all this debris that's on the outside of the racetrack here and lost control of the race car. He's very lucky ain't nobody come off the corner and got him there.
You know, buddy, what happens is sometimes a car cannot go around the bottom of the racetrack as fast as it needs to, so they'll take them, they'll say, okay, I can't get around this bottom as good as I need, I'm going to search for a different groove. And evidently Michael got in there maybe just a little bit high instead of on the bottom of the track, and got into what we call the marbles.
Well, one thing about a flatter racetrack like this, you hear us talk about bank racetracks are self-cleaning, but these well, let's go look at this. This is more important right now. We'll explain that in a little while.
Let's go to the leader's pit in the upper left of your screen. Here's Glenn.
Well, Ernie Irvan brings it in for another routine tire change. Again, no chassis adjustments on this car, Mike. It's pretty well perfect. I was watching Jeff Bodine. He seemed to be closing the gap under green there, but that caution came out. I want to get a word with him. We know how Ernie's car is running. Bodine's car seems to be really running well. He got out of the pits in a second. I want to find out if maybe he runs better on a long extended green. I'll get back to you.
Thanks, Glenn. Ernie Irvan leads the pack out of the pits. Rusty Wallace right behind him, then Jeff Bodine and Ted Musgrave. We'll be right back to Loudon. Welcome back to Loudon, New Hampshire, live on TNN. We're coming up on halfway. Mike Joy with Buddy Baker and Kenny Wallace. Glenn Jarrett and Randy Pemberton down on pit road for TNN today. Had an incident on pit road where one car apparently bumped a tire, and then looked like Darrell Waltrip might have popped it with his left headlight.
Okay, the right rear of Bobby Labonte's car got out on pit road. Darrell hit it right there. It hit the left rear quarter of Ricky Rudd's car. You see Bobby Labonte hit his own tire, and that sends it out on the racetrack here.
And out of all this is the damage. You can see Darrell Waltrip's car's got a little bit of damage, and we'll scan back a little bit later on here, and there's Bobby Labonte's car also hit it, and Ricky Rudd did get hit in the left rear quarter panel.
Ted Musgrave did hit or bump a tire coming out of his pit stall, and that was, I think that was the tire that got out into the where Darrell could hit it.
Okay, there we go. See the bottom of the DE on the word tide? That tire hit right there, which can be a little bit dangerous. Get a little bit of tire rub maybe.
All right, we're under caution as they clean up, so let's take a break here from Loudon. Then we'll be ready to go back to green after this. We're back live at Loudon. I want to thank Jay from Indiana for calling in, because we always try to tell you who didn't make the field, and well, that one kind of slipped past us today, so he asked us to tell you, and we will. Jamie Obey, the Busch North driver, attempted to qualify, didn't make the show, nor did Joe Bessie, who has a lot of time in the Busch Grand National Circuit. Wally Dallenbach went home for the second race in a row in the STP Pontiac. Robert Presley, who will take over Harry Gant's ride last year, went home. And Loy Allen, who's had the strangest season. It seems he's either been on the pole or back on the truck. This week it was on the truck, and they went home.
One thing
North Carolina.
Yeah, Mike, you know, one thing that has been consistent with Loy Allen is he gets the poles on the speedways like Michigan and Atlanta, so I think those are the tracks that he really shines on.
But had a tough day here. So those cars, 5 of them, did not make the field here. 2 cars took provisional spots, Kyle Petty and Tim Steele, and we've had several calls on the 800 line about provisional spots. If a team fails to qualify fast enough to make the top 40 positions, NASCAR has 2 provisional spots available to the top 35 car owners in the Winston Cup point standings that they can use to a limited number of times each season if they fail to make the show. And there's one additional provisional spot available for a past Winston Cup champion, the most recent Winston Cup champion, driver, not car owner, that's not in the field. So they're provisional because they're used only if the driver does not qualify through time trials. Let's check with Glenn for an update on Jeff Bodine.
Well, Jeff Bodine has made his way steadily through the field. He came out of the pits in third. First of all, Paul, good pit stop there. But it looks like that your car runs maybe a little better than the rest of them when you can get a long green run.
Yeah, it does. You know, if this thing we go green the rest of the way, it'll probably help us out. These tires aren't quite up to par. You know, on the restart, we may fall back a little bit, but you know, after like 5 laps, they're pretty good. They're, matter of fact, they stay in there real good.
Well, it seems like the Goodyear's may be a little quicker on the start, but your car it runs the same speed lap after lap after lap.
Yeah, it does. It stays real consistent.
Well, they're real.
We call this green.
Okay, he's going to call him for green now. They're real happy with the way the car's running. That's a pretty good car he's got. The Hoosier tires may be the key, buddy.
I tell you one thing, let's not overlook who's running second right now. Good team. Rusty Wallace has worked his way into second place due to some great pit stops, but he was on the move. He had worked his way into the top 5 before the caution come out. And this guy, let me tell you, when he gets up to second and starts smelling victory, he's a hard man to beat.
Wallace won this race last year from 33rd starting spot. He started 18th today and is now second behind Ernie Irvan. Of the 3 drivers that lead the points, only Irvan has led this race. You're inside Derek Cope's car. Had a bump with the wall in turn 4 earlier. Let's follow him around.
You could hear him coming off the corner there. He had to back out of the throttle. The car's still a little bit loose for him.
8,400 RPM.
Jeff Bodine had passed him going in the corner there.
There's a 3,000 RPM spread, buddy, from 5,400 to 8,400 as he goes around here. That's pretty wide range.
Well, it is, but on a flat track, you have to let, as Kenny said at the beginning of the show, you have to let the car roll into the corner, pick the throttle up really nice and easy, and keep from spinning the tires coming up out of the corner.
You know, so many motormen will ask, how many RPMs are you getting down to in the middle of the corner? It's really hard for a driver to know that. But one thing that really helps is on these test sessions, you can put telemetry on. Then the motorman can say, hey, okay, I'm going to go back and I'm going to try a different cam because this racetrack here, the RPMs are a lot lower.
Okay, we're halfway, 150 laps as we watch Bobby Labonte and Todd Bodine battle. They're going to move around Greg Sachs, who brought out the first caution back at lap 4. Sachs is 1 lap down in the number 77 car.
See Jimmy Spencer and Earnhardt just behind that duo there. Jimmy Spencer waiting on nobody. He's threading his way through traffic right now. If he makes this pass on the outside, he gets the Attaboy award. He'll have to wait for the straightaway, I'll guarantee you on that. This racetrack, it looks like there's a lot of racetrack to use out there, but there's really not.
Did he rush the wall, or did the car just snap back from being real loose?
Well, what he did, he probably started off and seen he was going to hit the wall, so he turned a little bit tight. See Earnhardt get in the back of Spencer really easy there. That's where you just can't check up quick enough to keep from bumping.
Todd Bodine has got a really good car. What happened a couple laps ago, he come up off at turn 4, and he went to go to the outside of Jimmy Spencer and got the car a little bit sideways, which caused a little bit of too wide racing here. But there's some really good cars here. The 77 car leading this pack, though, is down a lap or so.
Yeah, Spencer's doing everything he can to try to make the pass on the inside, because the outside of this racetrack, it's really hard to make a pass on the outside.
Yeah, and you know what? Spencer's saying to himself, hey, I got to go because Earnhardt's on my rear end. And Earnhardt's saying, hey, I got Bodine on my rear end, and so on through the back of the pack. So that's what happens up in the front. You know, the guys want you to be patient, but you can't because you got guys behind you beating on you.
This race is for 13th position.
You know, Mike, it don't matter how far back we go. People race hard for every position in Winston Cup. If you say a guy's running 13th, and people say, well, he's not even in the top 10. Let me tell you, he's working very hard up there.
Well, I point that out, too, because we're not always on the leader. We want to show you these battles back in the pack when we can. Good battle for third. Ted Musgrave, 2 laps ago coming out of turn 2, was right snuggled under the bumper of Jeff Bodine. And again, he's watching the leaders get away. Now, he's the 4th place car, and he may figure he's faster than Bodine at this point.
And you know, this is all in pit stops. These are really fast race cars you see on the screen right now. Jeff Bodine, Ted Musgrave, their pit stops were good, but once again, Ernie Irvan and Rusty Wallace had 2 of the best pit stops and pushed them out in front. Pit stops are so important in Winston Cup racing. It's absolutely phenomenal anymore. Ted Musgrave had a 2nd place car before his pit stop. He comes out, and right now he's running 4th.
And these 2 are about 1.3 seconds behind the leaders, Ernie Irvan and Rusty Wallace.
Musgrave is really trying to get the edge on Bodine right now. 15 laps from now, Bodine will have a little bit of edge. I think the Hoosiers worked really well after 15, 18, 20 laps. But right now, it looks like he's holding Musgraves up just a little bit getting in the corner.
Now, they are 3rd and 4th. Let's show you that interval. Ernie Irvan and Rusty Wallace, there they are, as they work around turns 3 and 4 in front of this massive crowd. Over 85,000 people here today. There's 3rd and 4th. And that's Jeff Bodine and Ted Musgrave. Now, Sterling Marlin is 5th. Mark Martin is 6th. Brett Bodine is 7th. Terry Labonte is 8th. Ricky Rudd is 9th. And Bill Elliott's up to 10th. Back in 11th, Jeff Gordon. 12th, Bobby Labonte. Jimmy Spencer, Dale Earnhardt, Todd Bodine in the top 15. All these cars that you're seeing in the upper left of your screen are on the lead lap back to about 27th place.
You know, we've seen Dale Earnhardt there in 14th position. Earlier we were talking about him having a rough day. He's having a rough day, but he's so capable as these long races wear on, it's like he's 18th on his bad day. Then you get halfway through and all of a sudden he's 14th on his bad day. And then he finishes in the top 10, and that's why, like I say, he's so tough for championships.
Now remember last year, Rusty Wallace did not even lead this race until lap 168. Then he went on to win it.
I'm watching Rusty Wallace. He's changing his line around the racetrack just a little bit. He's letting the car go in very low there, kicking it out a little bit wide and trying to get a better run up out of the corner on the low side there. Now he's one of the masters of finding a place to run that car as fast as he can get around.
And Randy Pemberton's in his pit.
Well, let's ask Buddy Parrott. Buddy, it took you about 150 laps to get there. Now you're there. Can you do anything with Ernie today?
Well, no, you know, it took us 125 last time, so we're 25 shy of what we were doing last year. The car's working good. The guys did an exceptionally good pit stop. We've been adjusting the car every time, and we just have to see what happens. I know one thing, Robert Yates and them got a lot of miles on that engine, so, you know, we got a real fresh motor in our car, and maybe we can pull this thing off today.
We have a spin on the back stretch. Jeff Gordon.
And everybody's going to get by as Gordon really shortened up the back end of his DuPont Chevrolet.
Whoa. Dale Jarrett spun back there. I don't know whether there's oil on the racetrack or he just got on the brakes real hard. The car's been loose for Dale Jarrett. You see damage on the left rear corner there. Maybe somebody got into the back of him.
You know, buddy, you're right. This is the 24 car. This is a shame. Jeff Gordon having a great race. I think he's leaking some fluid, buddy. He's sideways on the apron. He might have had a fluid leak that caused him to go around.
This car is junk.
Listen to the inside noises in this car, boy. Everything's dragging.
Jeff, being a veteran almost now, a year and a half, he knows better than even go to his pits. Pulls it right in the garage area and giving those guys a chance to hurry up and start working on it.
We are under caution for the 8th time today for Jeff Gordon. And we'll be right back to New Hampshire after this. Welcome back to Loudon, where we're under the 8th caution of the day. Jeff Gordon crashed in turn 2, and then Dale Jarrett. Got the left rear corner of his car smashed. Watch Jared in green. Dave Marcus is all the way to the bottom.
Dave Marcus was under the yellow line there, and he got into the back of the 18 car of Dale Jarrett. Dale was very lucky not to get in the outside wall. Other than the left rear quarter panel, that's all he has. Look at Jeff Gordon here, though. This is a little more dramatic.
Listen to this.
Okay, he's in trouble right here. He's loose. He's starting around.
Report is, buddy, he cut down a right rear tire. It's gone up into the wall. Dale Earnhardt made 2 pit stops under this caution. Bobby Labonte, Jimmy Spencer, Morgan Shepherd, Darrell, and Mike Waltrip. Jimmy Hensley and Dale Jarrett have all made pit stops, and there's smoke coming from Ward Burton's Hardy Chevrolet as he brings it down pit road. That's from the left rear. .163 laps. It wasn't much of the talk during yesterday's last practice session about how Ernie Irvan was running.
Very fast. Yes, I was down in the garage area. Ernie was really fast through the middle of the corner. His car was able to get on the throttle really quick and make really long straightaways out of this place. He was very fast. He's been like that all week long, and the concern was, is he going to be that fast with hot weather, cool weather? It looks like it hasn't adjusted his car very much, any at all.
Well, now, Buddy Parrott said something about that old motor in Ernie Irvan's car. What's that, Glenn?
Well, I went right down and asked Robert Yates. I told him what Buddy had said. I said, what does he mean as we go back to green here? But he said, I don't know. He said, we ran about 80 miles in practice yesterday, but he said, maybe he's talking about because Ernie can drive the car in the corner so much further, maybe he's talking about miles under power.
Terry Labonte got way up in the loose stuff between turns 1 and 2 and has dropped a lot of positions on this restart. He was 7th when they took the green, and now he's back toward the tail end of the field.
Yeah, Terry Labonte had a really good run going early. Look, he might have a tire down. He is really twitching the car a little bit. Maybe he might just be checking on the tires to see if they're all up, right, Mike? Let me elaborate on what Buddy Parrott was saying there. I believe I know what he's talking about. The team of Robert Yates and Ernie Irvan, they make what we call long practice runs. Other teams go out there and they run 10, 15 laps and they say, yeah, the car's handling or it isn't handling. Ernie Irvan, he makes 50-lap runs, and he's been doing that all week long. And it's thrown a different look at a lot of people.
There is Irvan leading this race. Buddy, if you think you might have a tire going down, I mean, how do you test it? I mean, how do you know? How do you test it?
Well, the first thing, it's like the chassis adjustment's gone bad on you. You start going in the corner and it feels like it's getting loose, and all of a sudden, man, just like Jeff Gordon there, he's going through the corner like he has the whole day, and all of a sudden that car just turns around on him. There's not much you can do.
Let's check with Glenn.
Well, you guys were talking about the extra miles that they ran on the engine, and of course what Kenny said is true. They do make long runs, but these are engines that they normally run 400 or 500 miles. So an extra 80 miles on an engine that's only going to run 300 miles, Robert Yates said he was not worried. Also, interestingly, Ernie Irvan has asked him to ask NASCAR to sweep the apron. The way the track's coming up, he wants to try to drive down on the apron a little bit. That's how well his car's handling.
Jeff Burton is off the pace out of turn number 2, limping around in the Ray Vestas brakes car.
Mike, we have a tremendous race for second here. That's Jeff Bodine going by with Rusty Wallace on the inside, and Derek Cope right with him. I think Derek's trying to get one of his laps back.
He is 1 lap down after that bout with the wall in turn 4.
At this stage of the race now, we're 167 laps into it, and a lot of these guys are thinking, how can we do anything with Ernie Irvan? How can we gain on the points? He's done this week in and week out. And like Rusty's running a great second, third, fourth all day long, but still it's not going to gain no points if Ernie keeps this pace up. It's really hard on the other competitors.
Let me tell you how bad it is from the Rusty Wallace point of view. Rusty has won 3 of the last 4 races, and in 4 races as Ted Musgrave goes by Rusty has only gained 10 points. That's all. And he's won 3 out of the 4 races.
I tell you what, it's tough anymore. It's just like in the Busch Grand National Series that I run. I've had some problems in about 7 races. I'm only 136 points out. Here, all these guys haven't had problems, in about 3 or 4 races, and they can't gain nothing. So it just shows, the system gets rolling.
Ted Musgrave went right on by Rusty Wallace without any trouble whatsoever. You see Nemechek gaining on him. I think Rusty may have a little bit of a handling problem right now because I was noticing Sterling Marlin's gaining on him quite fast.
Let's go down to the garage area where Randy is with Jeff Gordon.
We can count about 11 guys working on Jeff's car here. Jeff, did you just cut a tire? What happened?
I think so. I don't really know what. I thought I felt the tire go down, heard something blow, and I think the way it went around, I hadn't had that problem over there all day. I'm sure the tire blew. Why, I don't know.
We got a caution?
Michael Waltrip has spun for the second time coming off turn 4, and again, a narrow escape.
Absolutely. Same place as he spun just a little while ago. I imagine he's getting a little snake bit about this 4th corner.
Caution is out again. Mark at the 9th one of the day. We've had 40 of 171 laps under caution. Derek Cope does not get his lap back from leader Ernie Irvan. 128 laps to go here at New Hampshire International. We'll be right back. 174 laps complete. Second spin of the day for Michael Waltrip. Brings out the 9th caution of the day at lap 173. He also brought out the yellow at lap 141. Here's what happened.
You see he's on the outside of Earnhardt there. He just gets in this gray part that I was telling you about. Watch the back end now. It's coming around. Very close to the wall. Look at Terry Labonte. You talk about checking up.
That's a situation where Michael's saying, hey, I'm going to get around the 3-car of Dale Earnhardt here. And he runs in on the outside and just gets up a little bit too far. Man, I tell you what, that's skill, but a lot of luck to not hit that wall.
Mike, while I was trying to explain a while ago, is on a real bank racetrack, the rubber rolls off the racetrack. It's self-cleaning. On a flat track like this, everything goes to the outside of the racetrack, and when you get up in it, it's just like hitting sand.
Here is Ted Musgrave, who is now back in 11th place after that round of pit stops. Now let's show you his last pit stop on the up and over the wall cam. To the right side.
The guy's having a lot of trouble with the left rear trying to get it off. The jack wasn't up high enough, and that takes time. Anytime you take time like that, you drop back into order.
So Musgrave is 11th after that pit stop. We'll be right back to New Hampshire International Speedway after this. Welcome back to Loudon, New Hampshire. Look at this packed house in the press box atop the main grandstand. There are the NASCAR spotters, the spotters for each team up on the roof, overlooking what they call the Magic Mile here at Loudon. And our TNN announce booth, NASCAR control, and the press box. Ray Bestis, Best in Brakes, giving you these pictures, and there are the spotters. Each team provides their own in radio communication with their driver and their crew. A very essential both safety and strategy aspect of NASCAR. Who's getting the suntan there?
One of the spotters is saying, hey, it's too hot up here.
Couldn't spend the day up on the lake, so he'll get a little sun right there. Here's how they're running after pit stops. Dale Earnhardt up to 5th because he did not pit. Now, Rick Mast, who's leading the race, took the lead at lap 174, did not pit. Neither did Earnhardt, Bobby Labonte, Morgan Shepherd, Jimmy Spencer, or Harry Gant. And they are in the front 6 positions as we get ready to go back to green.
Mike, it's an opportunity for some of these cars that are a lap down, though. These cars are not the fastest race cars out there, so they can probably pick up a lap here if they can get a good start.
The first of the cars that did pit is Jeff Bodine in 7th. He's up there because he only took on 2 tires just to see what they would do, Randy told us. Oh, Morgan got a little bit.
Oh, no, the 27 car got in a little bit to the marbles.
And into the wall.
And into the wall. That's a shame. Jimmy had an accident yesterday. He kind of bummed his leg up a little bit, bruised it. I hope he's okay.
Spencer up against the wall. Waiting. No yellow. Will stay green. Spencer down along the back straightaway. He'll limp around to the pits.
Yeah, he's...
You know, Mike, that's about the worst thing that could happen to Spencer because he was wearing a leg brace because he did hurt himself in the modified race here yesterday. So I imagine that hurt a little bit when he got in the wall there.
You know, let's give a call to this car in 4th spot. Well, here we go. Rusty's making some moves on the inside of Harry Gant, bringing along Brett Bodine with him.
Now remember, Gant did not stop.
So he's got 4 used tires on it. These guys coming underneath him have got 4 fresh tires.
And actually, Musgrave went back to 11th, but he did not have a bad pit stop. He was in 11th. He was 3rd of the cars that took on 4 tires. He didn't have a bad stop. It's just not everybody stopped and not everybody took on 4. That's why Musgrave restarted 11th.
Well, it was close racing.
Yep.
Mark threaded the needle.
On pit road are Jimmy Spencer and Michael Waltrip with the hood up.
You see this 4800 on the left side of the dash up here, Kenny?
Well, what we were talking about, 4800 on over his gauge right there, that is his pit road speed. People want to know, what's the speed limit down pit road? 4,800 RPMs. That is to remind him.
Well, it is 4,800 with the...
Oh, no, he's...
Derek Cope and
Earnhardt.
Got together.
Rusty.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Synchronized spinning.
Spin and go for Rusty.
Boy.
And Cope in the fence. Second time today. First time was at turn 4. This will be a caution. Comes out at lap 182. 10th of the day. Race back to the line. Rick Mast. And again, Nemechek tries to get that lap back and comes close, but not enough.
You know, the racing room is really running out getting into turn 1. Earnhardt was trying to get underneath the 98 car and just got into him a little bit. You can see this is an excellent shot.
Got the visor up, trying to get a little cool air in there. See the breather tube on the left side of the helmet.
Right, and you know, you've seen his eyes almost like it was looking down at the camera. What he was doing, he was looking at his RPM gauge, because if he doesn't do that, he'll get penalized for pit road speed.
It'll be a quick caution with the 1 to go. Let's show you what happened as they beat bang on the sheet metal with Derek Cope's car.
Okay, here it is. See Earnhardt next to the 21 car. Here he goes. Okay. Derek Cope just didn't see him. He had the spot. There they go around, and Rusty gets hit by Brett Bodine, the 26 car. Rusty's a little bit luckier, spins around nothing, grabs it, puts it in second gear, takes off.
Fortunate turn of the wheel from Rusty Wallace.
Yeah, and that shows a lot of driving ability on Rusty's part. When he got turned around there, he made a 360, never slowed up that much, went on and got out of the way and didn't get collected behind.
Be a quick caution. We'll go right back to green. Derek Cope has made repairs. He's back on the track. Jimmy Spencer's car is behind the wall. And Rick Mast took this lead at lap 174. Neither he nor Bobby Labonte took on tires. Rick started 22nd. He's led 6 laps of this race.
You know, for a lot of you Busch Grand National drivers out there wanting to know if you can get it done in Winston Cup or not, here we got Mike McLaughlin. Only 1 lap down, second row inside. He's been running really good all day long. So they have made a really good showing up here in that Porsche Chevrolet. And this is Mike McLaughlin's best track. He's won about 5 races here. So
he's the winningest driver at this track.
He's doing a really good job. He's only 1 lap down, and this is the best in the business.
Let's get set for the restart here. 183 laps down, 117 to go. Jimmy Spencer's car being worked on. And Rick Mast calls him off. Joe Nemechek again tries to get a lap back from Mast.
You know, you were talking about Busch Grand National driver Rick Mast. He come out of the Busch Grand National. The first 4 cars in that shot there are Busch Grand National drivers. So that's where your driver pool is. You guys want to know, how do I get in Winston Cup? The Busch Grand National work your way into it.
Rick Mast leading this race, won a Busch Grand National race here in 1990.
I remember that race quite well. That was my second year in the Busch Grand National Series. This is a great race here, buddy.
You see Bodine there. He's on fresh tires. Bobby Labonte moving on the inside of Nemechek. That's the line. Everybody's going, whoa! Ernie made a brave move there. He made it 3 deep going in the corner there, past Bodine on the bottom, and he's up under Nemechek now.
Now there's Jeff Bodine and Ernie Irvan, the first of the cars that took on tires.
Bobby Labonte's going to lead a lap if he can if he can beat Ernie Irvan up to 4. Look at Ernie, he's just so strong.
Well, when you get 4 new tires, anybody wants to know what an advantage 4 new tires are, you're watching it there. He was behind this car by 4 car lengths going into 3. Now he has about a 2-3 car length lead coming off the 2.
not at speed.
There goes your brother, one of them.
Yep.
With Mike Wallace in the Heiligmeyer car.
I'll tell you what, Earnhardt got it. No, could see a little bit of nose damage, not much, but when he got into the car of Derek Cope, he just went ahead and stayed in it instead of getting on the brakes and spinning himself out, which enabled him really not to get hit in the rear and get spun out.
You made a good call. That was your first real call without me butting in on you, but you made a really important call there. Earnhardt kept his spot, and Derek did not see him. He started down. Earnhardt did not leave his line or anything. He just ran into Earnhardt, stayed in the throttle and turned him around.
Yeah, and just, this is what happens a lot on these flat tracks. I mean, any caution usually is going to be because somebody gets in your left rear or gets out of the groove a little bit. Flat tracks are really finesse type tracks getting into the corner.
Earnhardt makes the move on Rick Mass.
It looks like a Daytona move, Mike. Pulling out 3 wide in the draft.
Morgan Shepherd on the bottom now under Nemechek.
They're all boxed up.
And Brett Bodine is at a pretty strong car today. He took the state forward. He wants a piece of Shepherd. Not this time.
Boy, every time they start in that corner, you hope the guy out in front knows they're coming up under him like that. But if you touch them when they start in the corner, they're going around.
Was that loose? Mark Martin. Toward the bottom of your screen. He got real loose coming out of 2.
Mark is a better car than what he's running. I really believe that if they haven't got that toe-in problem fixed, he's just got it turned a little bit too good maybe, and it's maybe off-balance the car because he's been a lot better than this all week, although he is running a great race, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that, we still keep in mind that toe-in is still bent on the car.
He and Ricky Rudd battle. And here's a look at what Mark's turning. 8,500 RPM.
Look how long he's on the brake getting in there. See that light come on, boy, he's on the brakes there for a good 3 seconds getting in the corner.
Well, he hit Kyle Petty outside him. He got below 5,000 RPM that time. 8,700 up against the red limiter there.
4 seconds, excuse me. Now this time it's 4 seconds getting in the corner then. That's how long you use the brakes, and I mean you're on the blue when you start the corners here.
They really turn their RPMs up here with these V8 motors. We run the Busch International cars with the V6s up here. You're turning them 83, 84, you're going, hey, that's perfect. These guys don't even think about turning them 8,800. 8,800 RPMs all day long. With rev limiter chips to keep them from turning over 8,800.
192 laps complete. Ernie Irvan leads. Jeff Bodine, Bobby Labonte, Rick Mast, and Dale Earnhardt. There is the interval, 1st through 5th. In seconds. And we'll be right back to New Hampshire International Speedway. You're watching What's to Cup Racing live on TNN. Ernie Irvan, the fastest car in yesterday's practice under cloudy skies and 60-degree temperatures, is again the quickest car here in New Hampshire, this time in 80-degree temperatures, and there is a bit of cloud cover. Let's come over the racetrack. Back in the pack, Morgan Shepherd in 7th place battles Brett Bodine and Ted Musgrave. Just behind them, Ricky Rudd. Todd Bodine right in the midst of it. He's the 6th place car. And he's run a lot of Busch races here. He's probably got more laps here than most of the Winston Cup drivers.
Yeah, I'm real impressed with the way he drives the race car. He's some kind of good driver. You see him gaining on Morgan, getting in the corner there. He's doing everything but helping him through the corner there.
Napa, we keep America running. Here's how they're running. Jimmy Spencer back in the race after an 11-minute repair job, and Michael Waltrip tossed an oil pump drive belt. Back up in 4th place, Bobby Labonte and Dale Earnhardt. Bill Davis told me this morning he thought they had a pretty good setup for here. Labonte qualified in the top 5. And they were happy with their practice yesterday afternoon. They were one of the quicker cars then. These cars are 6.5 seconds behind the leader.
Mike, we talked about Earnhardt. He's back there in 18th at one time, 30th place it seemed, and now he's all the way up to 5th.
We welcome your questions here on TNN, 800-451-7331. The call is free. Sandy from South Carolina wants to know if the teams build their own cars, and most of them do, how are they called Fords or Chevys if they don't come from the factory as Fords or Chevys? If they build them, why don't they call them a Laughlin or a Banjo or a Hendrick or a Childress?
Mike, it's got a lot to do with what we just call sponsorship. You know what happens? A lot of teams out here say Ernie Irvan is sponsored by Ford. They've made a situation with Ford saying, hey, I'll help you with the test sessions. I'll give you free sheet metal. So they're going to run Ford. Same thing with the car you see right here. Two different makes, Bobby. Ooh.
You almost had a pot relay there or a Cheviac.
Yep.
If they got a little more together.
Exactly. But that's the way it happens. You just you strike a deal with your automaker, and then that is the decision you make.
Folks, if it has Chevy sheet metal and a Chevy engine, it's a Chevy. Interestingly, Richard from Indiana called in. Yes, all the cars do run Ford rear ends. The Ford runs a Banjo type rear end. That's from the shape of it, where you can quickly change the center section. The GM car on the street has a Salisbury type rear end where you have to take it all apart to change the gear, so everybody uses the 9-inch Ford rear end. Fords, Chevys, and Pontiacs all use a Ford design rear end. It gets curiouser and curiouser. Magazines like Stock Car Racing and Circle Track can help you out with a lot of the technical questions you folks may have about these race cars.
See Morgan Shepherd there, Todd Bodine, and just behind them, a man that's made more passes today than anybody on the racetrack, Ted Musgrave.
We are 202 laps complete, 98 to go as Morgan Shepherd battles Todd Bodine and Ted Musgrave for 6th place. A spin at turn number 2, Derek Cope is having a tough day in the Cale Yarborough number 98. Kinderhut Ford.
It'd be really hard to hurt it right now, I'll tell you that. That thing is kind of beat up.
Derek right now is saying, man, what else is going to happen? There's no caution on that spin.
Nope.
He's just
Dick Trickle makes a good stop. And Ernie Irvan continues to hold forward here at the 1 mile New Hampshire International Speedway.
Well, there's the guy that's dominating the race. We're going to pan back through the field. Ernie Irvan has really dominated all day long. And Jeff Bodine runs his own team, running a strong second. And the next car behind him, I believe,
We'll be right here in a second.
Right there. I'm kind of new at this.
That's Jimmy Spencer. He's had several brushes with the ball. The right side of that car is really a winner at Daytona.
16
Not
laps
today.
Down. 16 laps down today. Bobby Hamilton is back out after a long stay in the garage. He is 140 laps down, trying to pile up some Winston Cup points. And as we look at Rick Mast, the 3rd place car, here's Glenn.
Well, Mike, I came down to find out what their strategy was, why they didn't pit that last time, stayed out there. Everybody else came in and got fresh tires. We see Steve Grissom got the wall right there. But Rick Mast is on Hoosier tires. And Richard Jackson, the car owner, told me, he said, hey, the longer we run, the better they are. As the same with Jeff Bodine, the more green flag laps they run, the better off the Hoosier tires are. So they just simply decided not to change. He's hanging right up there in 3rd. Pretty good strategy.
Thanks, Glenn.
That's Steve Grissom there. He got into the wall coming off turn 4 there. I mean, he hit it hard, but he's able to keep on going there.
Steve was running in the 15th position. I believe he got into a push situation and got up a little bit high. Just be speculating. Pan the rest of the field here.
There's Kenny Schrader. He's run a very good race all day. Just can't get himself up to the front.
And caution is coming out for debris on the racetrack.
Yeah, I think right front tire of Steve Grissom come off the rim and it throws a big piece of rubber right out in the groove in turn 3 down there.
Steve's trying to get on the brakes and get that thing stopped. The right front's just, there's nothing there to stop except the rim.
So this will be the 11th caution today. It comes out of lap 211. For debris from Steve Grissom's spin. Welcome back to Loudon, New Hampshire. Debris on the racetrack from Steve Grissom's car after his brush with the wall down the front stretch has brought out this 11th caution. We had pit stops while we were away. And here's a look at how the 3 leaders made out. Irvan at the top of your screen on Goodyear's, Rick Mast, Jeff Bodine on Hoosier tires. That's how they come back out. Irvan, Bodine, Mast, Morgan Shepherd. Back wide. Ernie Irvan on a tear. He has led all but 2 races this season. He has led the last 10 in a row. 8 times he has led the most laps. That's impressive. As Rusty Wallace found last year, winning races.
What Ernie's doing to the whole Winston Cup circuit right now, for Ernie to finish out of the top 5, it pretty well it has to break.
Here's how they're running under the caution in New Hampshire.
Okay. They asked me, we've got these TNN viewer questions, and the one we keep getting a lot of, about 5 or 6 of them. So for Karen from Oklahoma wants to know if Rusty Wallace is available. So Rusty's happily married to Patty Wallace, and he has 3 children. So Patty and Rusty have been together since Rusty and them have been about 14, 15 years old. So it's a great relationship.
He's available for personal appearances.
That's right.
And Lisa in Arkansas, the answer to your question is no. We're going to break.
We're going to break.
We did have somebody call in a year ago. Davey Allison passed away, and we mentioned it briefly at the top of the telecast. And Ernie Irvan remembered that a year ago this was Davey Allison's last race.
Oh yeah, I did. You know, the garage area right down here in garage number 20 is where I was parked at last year, and Davey was parked in the garage across, and we spent a lot of time talking, and you know, we've talked about it a lot, and just, you know, this is kind of like real close to 1 year, and it's like the 1 year deal kind of makes you say, man, it is true, you know, and it's just it's still a tragedy. It's still in a lot of our minds, and something we'll never forget.
Welcome back to Loudon, New Hampshire, live on TNN. Lester from Georgia called in on the 800 line, and he said last week he was in Alabama, or just this week, and saw what was billed as Davey Allison's last race car in the museum at Talladega. We mentioned earlier that Ernie Irvan is driving the car that Davey ran in his last race at Talladega, or rather here at New Hampshire last year. Let's get an update and a confirmation from Glenn Jarrett.
Well, Mike, I came straight to the source. They tell me in Ernie Irvan's pits that this is definitely race car number 12. It is the last car that Davey drove. He drove it here a year ago at Loudon. So it's, you know, I don't know what the car is. They said they weren't sure that the car in the museum was probably one of the last cars Davey drove, but he's definitely in the car that Davey drove here last year.
Thanks, Glenn. 1 lap to go. Buddy, as we look at the back of Ernie Irvan's car, losing that bumper cover. You said it didn't touch the deck lid or the spoiler, so it didn't hurt there. But would there be any kind of ground effect without that rear bumper cover to help him?
You know, the funny part is some of the race teams have been talking down to the NASCAR officials that they didn't like this, like he meant to knock that thing off. I mean, he had nothing to do with that. And as far as what it did, he was leading the race before he knocked the bumper off.
Right.
So that race car was pretty good. All he done is knock the bumper off. They had to get it off because it was dragging behind the car.
Rick Mast was third coming out of the pits. NASCAR adjudged he left his pit and exceeded the speed limit on pit road. Has to go to the end of the line for the restart, and so he has made another pit stop to top off the tank. There are 82 laps to go, so he is within the window of going the distance, but what a shame. After a strong drive, he's going to have to restart from the back.
That's terrible. He worked his way all the way up to 4th, and everything was looking good for him. But you have to obey speed limits. It's just like going to work or anything else. You run over the speed limits, you get a ticket. Same way with NASCAR.
Green flag, lap 219. Kenny Schrader 2 laps down, just behind Irvan and Jeff Bodine in second place. Look who's third, Dale Earnhardt. Irvan has clinched the 5-point bonus for winning the most laps. 9th time this year he has done that.
Looks to me like Earnhardt's getting in the corner really well, but the car's pushing out just like it has been all day. The longer he runs under the green flag wrap, the more he's going to drop back up.
And what we've seen on Bodine's car with the Hoosier tire, the longer he runs under green, the better that car is. This should be interesting. Jeff Bodine in this race, currently posted in second place. He started back in 16th. He has not yet led.
You know, Jeff Bodine right now is starting to come around. We said that earlier. We said it 5 races ago. But if this team can get any kind of luck, you know, barring crashes, motor problems, they're definitely going to be a contender towards the end of this year. I mean, just for winning a couple races. So right now, it looks like they got it all together. They're really going to be good next year.
Jeff Bodine in second place. Glenn Jarrett's in his pit.
Well, Mike, I asked Paul Andrew if they could go the rest of the way. He said it's going to be really, really close. He thinks they may be able to. They certainly hope that it does because of the way the Hoosier tires run under the long extended greens. They want to see this thing green the rest of the way.
Ted Musgrave battles Bobby Labonte for 5th place.
Ted Musgrave, I'm telling you, he must have passed 400 different times on this racetrack. Every time you get on his car, he's passing somebody right in the bottom part of the racetrack. That car is working well. Bobby got to run off the corner with it.
You're with Rusty Wallace as he pulls up on Ted Musgrave.
Look in Rusty's in-car camera. See that tube to the right on this door bar here? See that plastic tube? Rusty doesn't like things clinging to him. He doesn't like things to be on him, so that's his water tube. He grabs it when he wants and gets a sip of water out of that. A lot of drivers take it to their shoulder harness. Rusty doesn't like that thing dangling on it. So different characteristics of different drivers.
Brett Bodine right behind him. The Quaker State car. He's had a good run today. Currently 8th. You know, it's kind of nice today to see fellas other than just the big 3 having a real good run. There's some folks in the garage getting awful tired of hearing about the big 3.
Well, Todd Bodine run well all day. See Mark Martin, he's run well. He got involved in an accident right near the first of the race and knocked the toe end out on the car. Ricky Rudd's led a little bit of the race today. That's Mike Wallace underneath there. Kyle Petty, he's run very hard, Billy. We haven't said much about him, but he's been very consistent working his way forward.
Now they are 13th and 14th, buddy. 21 cars are on the lead lap. There's Elliott, who set a new track record in second-day qualifying. It was very cool and overcast. Ideal temperatures. Now, interesting, these 2 cars are right together because Elliott re-qualified Saturday morning under cool conditions, earned the 21st starting spot. Kyle Petty's team elected not to re-qualify and had to use a provisional spot to get in the field. He started 41st.
Mike, I think that's the second time in history that a car stood on the 22nd spot and got bumped on the second day of qualifying.
Kyle is running a really exceptionally smooth race here. Although he's in 14th position, he's just been there all day long. And right now, he's running a really clean race and right there with Bill.
Second place.
Look at Earnhardt. Maybe he did make enough changes on that race car. He hadn't been able to stay that low all day long.
Remember, Dale Earnhardt got lapped.
That was a little more casual contact. That was like, I'm getting this spot.
I'm going to tell you, we talked about it earlier. Earnhardt was a lap down at lap 38. Thought, well, if this goes green, he's going to be out of it. They just kept working on it. I mean, this is a championship contender who doesn't give up all day long. Here he is. He just took over second. He wasn't handed it, so he's going to be tough.
That's where Dale Earnhardt's been today. He has not led this race.
Mike, just behind him, Morgan Shepherd has been almost, at the first part of the race, the car was very loose. They've made some adjustments on that car, and he's moved into 3rd place.
Shepherd on the move. Takes 3rd from Jeff Bodine. Let's go to Randy Pemberton in the Dale Earnhardt pit.
Andy Petrie, they're all down here laughing. I mean, you guys are smiling. The guy's doing a heck of a job out there. You were a lap down at lap 38. What'd you do?
Well, we've been working on it every stop. We gave up track position the first half of the race. Kind of gambled on that one deal after we'd run about 10 laps. We stayed out, got good track position. It looks like it's paying off.
I'll tell you, Dale's doing a heck of a job out there for you.
Yeah, he's having to change his groove quite a bit, trying to find a good place to run. Looks like he's got a good rhythm.
Good luck the rest of the way.
Somebody else that's running really good besides Dale Earnhardt, who got some good track position and a couple caution flags ago, is Bobby Labonte. He's running a fist by up.
Greg Sachs. We're yellow. For the 12th time today, at turn 2, Greg Sachs spins around. And we're under caution.
Poor Greg, he's had 3 or 4 flat tires today. It's just one of those days he just hadn't had any luck whatsoever.
Well, it was a quick spin, but it is a caution. Number 12 at lap 230, 70 laps to go. We'll be right back to New Hampshire. Getting ready to go back to green after only 2 laps of caution here. Ernie Irvan the leader. Dale Earnhardt second. Morgan Shepherd third. Jeff Bodine fourth. Here's the spin by Greg Sachs.
Right in front of Lake Speed.
Lake Speed made a great move diving down to the inside. You didn't know which way the 77 car of Greg Sachs was going to go. We're going green next time. No, this time, here we go.
Ernie Irvan takes off with the lead. Bobby Labonte back in 5th. Rusty Wallace, Ted Musgrave, Todd and Brett Bodine, and Sterling Marlin, the top 10.
Earnhardt has adjusted his groove now. He's running a little bit, just almost in the gray stuff, getting in turn 1 and 2, and he's making very good time on the high side of the racetrack. And maybe getting, you see the car really, he's out of the groove a little bit on the high side of the racetrack, but he's keeping his momentum up, and he's really got a lot of straightaway speed.
Buddy, if he's in that high lane, his RPM, good battle here.
I think the 7th car of Jeff Bodine has lost a handle on this car because there's cars passing him right now that usually wouldn't pass him earlier today.
Bobby Labonte going by. That'll move Labonte up into 4th. Rusty Wallace.
That's the stillest I've seen Rusty Wallace's hands in many a day there.
He's in 6th place.
Wow.
There's the caution. Kyle Petty, John Andretti, Jimmy Spencer. Yellow is out again. 13th caution of the day.
Well, we all caught the tail end of that. Well, it's not really clear exactly what happened.
Mark Martin got sideways to start it, we're told. Let's have a look.
Okay, that's Mike Wallace just under the 6th car there. I don't know whether Mark might have come down just a little bit. They made a little contact.
Randy LaJoie checked up and Kyle Petty went around.
That's a situation right there that was nobody's fault. They were bumper to bumper. Nobody could see in front of each other. You just rely on the person in front of you.
Did you see Rick Mast miss that?
Yes, I did. And he was hit from behind, too. He was very lucky to make that move on the inside.
This may be another quick caution. Will we get pit stops now with 65 laps to go?
If you see them put out 1 to go, I don't think you'll see me.
I don't think they will because the
track
track
cleaner up on the
track sweepers
outside of the racetrack there.
Track sweepers up in turn 3.
My bet is that they'll all come down pit road. We're inside a really good window right now, but I don't know who. Well, we got Jeff Bodine breaking off coming down. Looks like he's going to be the only one.
Right. Remember, he said, or his team said, they were questionable on fuel. So Bodine will give up 5th place, and he'll go all the way back to 21st.
Mike, I think he wants to come in and make sure he don't have any tires rubbing or anything like that. You see him taking on right sides. They have the hood up.
Glenn is there.
Well, Mike, I'm going to try to find out. I was talking to Paul Andrew to find out just what the problem was. A lot of smoke coming from under the hood. But I was talking to Paul just as that caution came out. He jumped in. I didn't get to hear what he had to say. They are changing all 4 tires. I don't know if he just got a mismatched set of tires or what, but boy, the handle sure went away on that thing. They're finished with the work under the hood. He's going to be down and away in a minute, and I'll find out exactly what they were doing.
Thanks, Glenn. We'll check with you when we come back. 236 laps complete here at New Hampshire. We'll be right back. At 238 laps, you're riding with Terry Labonte, and you see that the front end of his car is a bit dented. Let's show you, and let's listen to Terry Labonte here. Buddy Baker is an ex-driver owner. What would that have just cost Rick Hendrick right there?
I'm going to tell you right now, that's a lot of damage. They do a lot of work on these cars, hood-wise and everything, to strengthen them and everything. But you can see there's a lot of damage, and you wonder where the radiator fits in all this program here.
It's wrinkled right over that Chevrolet emblem. See that?
Some of these questions are wonderful. Mary from Arkansas. Who is the man? We've had 19 questions about Bill Broderick, the PR guy from Union Oil. All right, the guy with the Larry the Lion hairdo. Who is the man in winner's circle who tells the winner what to do and say?
That's
the best way I've heard that expressed.
Yeah, that's
hey, we're
what
going
it is.
green. 239 laps. We're back under green. And again, Ernie Irvan steps out from the field as Earnhardt moves around Schrader, Morgan Shepherd. Give a call to Bobby Labonte in that 22 car. He's been right up there all day long.
And you see Schrader there. He realized he couldn't make up the lap and he moved right over to the inside and let these cars go that are battling for position.
Right now, Ernie's still just strong. Earnhardt's settling in a second. He knows he can't run him down right now. I mean, he's not going to give up, but I bet he's really happy to be running second after what he's been through today.
I don't think right now anybody wants to jump on that 28 rally. I think he's just running fast enough to be in the lead right now. If he really had to push that thing, we'd find out what he has.
Let's show you how Morgan Shepherd's day has gone. Took him a long time to work his way up into the top 5, but he's been right there since about lap 174.
You know, these cars in second and third, they didn't get there easy. Just look at the right side of these cars. Look at Morgan Shepherd. Morgan Shepherd, Dale Earnhardt have really raced hard all day long.
Kenny, you see the wide line, they're running them 1 and 2 now. They've abandoned that lower area where they were kicking the back end of the car out. I think the conditions now favor a car that's a little bit tight. They're running a longer line into the corner, keeping a wider area coming off, and they seem to be actually pulling down on 28 car.
I tell you, Earnhardt has got a line that he's figured out, and actually you were right. He's come down on the 28 car. We didn't expect this early in the going, but Earnhardt has found him a groove like so many times before. That high groove he's running, giving him a little more momentum getting up off the corner. We'll just see how Ernie does react to this.
Earnhardt's car doesn't look like it's just been to the car wash either. It's the Bodine brothers battle side by side. Todd gets underneath Brett. Rusty Wallace just ahead of them. And there's again Kenny Schrader, and good point that Buddy made, that Schrader, now he knows he's not going to get back on the lead lap. He's going to race for what he's got and hold that, but not interfere with the guys at the front. Here's how Rusty Wallace has spent the day, moving up as far as second. But he has not led this race, and that's 10 extra points to Ernie Irvan. Any driver who leads a lap in this race gets 5 bonus points, and you can only get that once. The first time you lead a lap, you don't get it again and again. And the driver who leads the most laps, and today that's Irvan, gets an extra 5 bonus points. Good battle here. Ricky Rudd for 9th place, leading Ted Musgrave and Bill Elliott.
There goes Ted Musgrave.
Again.
As soon as we put him on camera, he starts passing somebody.
Well,
every time.
he's sponsored by a TV network. What do you expect?
You know, Teddy is really fast in the middle of the corner. It looks like he couldn't get up off the corner just then.
Front of the field.
Earnhardt's closed right into less than a car length behind Ernie Irvan right now, and right with him, Morgan Shepherd. This car is really hauling around this racetrack. He picked up the wider groove that Earnhardt's running, and it seems to really be working on Morgan Shepherd.
Can you believe this? This car was lapped in 50 laps. I'll bet a bunch of people turned off the set and went home. Earnhardt fans went out to mow the lawn or whatever, and here he is challenging for the lead 200 laps later.
Well, these first 3 cars are very impressive. You see Earnhardt moving up within less than a car length now, and Ernie's getting a little bit loose off the corner. Earnhardt's making a dive to the inside. I don't think he has enough straightaway speed to make that move, though.
You know, Ernie really looked wiggly coming up off that corner. I think that Ernie has slowed up because you're looking at Dale Earnhardt, Morgan Shepherd, Bobby Labonte bared down on the 28 car right now. So I definitely think the 28 car's got some problems right now. Let's watch as the 28 car goes in there. He's sliding up. Earnhardt's got more momentum in the middle of the corner. How about that tongue
Easy
tied
enough
there?
for you to say.
Yeah, say that 3 times. Well, now Ernie's kind of stretching it back out, buddy.
I think what we have here, we have a little deal where the 28 car gives up a little bit, cools his tires, runs a line that he can cool the tires back down, and then he'll pull back out and let them chase him back down again. That's an aggravating thing when you see him go off in the sunset.
6th, Mark Martin. 7th, Brett Bodine. 8th, Ricky Rudd. 9th, Ted Musgrave. They've all been in the chase today. 10th is Bill Elliott. 11th, Kyle Petty. 12th, Rick Mass. 13th, Sterling Marlin. And Lake Speed and Terry Labonte. There are 21 cars still on the lead lap.
Mike, we heard just a few seconds ago that Ernie was complaining of spinning the tires just a little bit up off the corners.
Riding with Mark Martin. Big handful of wheel.
Radio tire, that is not just a little loose, that is extremely loose right there.
And on these flat tracks where you're giving all that horsepower, all you can do is just feather into that gas. You can't get into all of it. And that's what causes Mark to be backsteer right there as you're watching the in-car camera.
Look at Mark Martin, 7th place car.
You see what I'm talking about. He dropped back in the clutches to Dale Earnhardt there. Once you start getting that right rear broke loose, coming up out of the corner, it just gets hotter and hotter and hotter. And then when you start in the corner, it gives up a certain amount too.
Can Ernie Irvan hang on to the lead for 47 more laps? Well, Dale Earnhardt, when he started poorly, he's finished well. At Bristol, Earnhardt started 24th and won. At Michigan, he started 24th and finished 2nd.
See Earnhardt close up getting in the corner. Ernie's babying that car right now, waiting for those tires to cool back down. He did spin them quite a bit to let Earnhardt catch him back like that.
Hut Strickland on pit road. And Ricky Rudd flashes past Mark Martin as the Bodine brothers battle just ahead. Boy, Todd and Brett have been going at it pretty hard these last 10 or 12 laps there.
What is it with brothers? Every time they get near each other, they race those guys harder than they do anybody else.
Brothers are barometers. In other words, if I'm behind Rusty, I know that he's the oldest, he's got the more experience, I'm going after him. Right here, you got the 26 car, Brett saying, hey, he's the little brother, he shouldn't be in front of me, I'm going after him. I think.
That's your story and you're sticking to it.
Yeah,
huh?
that's my theory. But I'll tell you, Todd is doing a great job. I'll tell you, the 26 car, here we go for the lead again.
And they have just put Darrell Waltrip 1 lap down.
You see Ernie's car just off the corner there, just fishtail a little bit, but that car is incredibly fast down the straightaway. Dale is going to have to make him make a mistake to get by him, I believe.
They're right behind them, 3rd and 4th, Morgan Shepherd and Bobby Labonte. And we'll drift back to this battle where now Mark Martin is underneath Brett Bodine, and Ricky Rudd has caught Todd Bodine. Is there a car here without wheel marks on it? I can't find it.
Oh, look. The 28 car got wide there. Earnhardt got under him. Drop him back. He's all the way back to 4th place in that little bit of time.
Let's check with Randy, who's in Ernie's pit.
Well, he just came over the radio, guys, before that little miscue. He said, I have got to find another groove because mine is gone.
So is his lead, Randy. He's back to 4th place, and now this is the 11th race that Dale Earnhardt's led this year.
Well, if that is the case, if the inside groove, you know, we pointed out that Earnhardt and Shepherd had moved to a higher groove through the corner. It won't take a man like Ernie Irvan very long to study that groove and get going on it.
Irvan has repassed Bobby Labonte as Ted Musgrave and Brett Bodine go at it. This is for 9th place. I'll show you the pass for the lead once again.
You see Ernie has about a 4 or 5 car length lead there. Ah, he got in the loose stuff on the outside. He come very close to spinning there.
You lose a little momentum here and you go back in a hurry. We are 40 laps from the finish. Next time by here at New Hampshire International. We'll be right back. Ray Best is the best in brakes, helping us out with our helicopter mounted camera here at New Hampshire today. That's the back straightaway, big parking area off to the east, and the entrance to turn number 3.
Look who's back up front again. Ernie Irvan has caught the 2 lead cars from about 15 to 20 car disadvantage, and he's back on the go again. He looks like he found the groove of that 28 car. Really works well.
And if in that last rundown I neglected to mention Rusty Wallace, he is the 5th place car. So behind these 3, Bobby Labonte, and then Rusty. And a good battle from 6th on back. Todd Bodine, Mark Martin, Ricky Rudd. And Irvan.
Whoa.
Trouble.
We got a big wreck.
Bobby Hamilton has pasted the wall at turn 3. Look at the stream of oil and water coming down there into turn number 3. And the caution is out. This is the 14th caution at lap 265. A very hard hit by Bobby Hamilton.
Well, the only thing right now is speculation, but we do see a trail of water behind that car. And it looks very much like maybe something exploded on the car.
Unless that happened as he hit the wall and trailed behind it. This report is Bobby's moving around in the car.
Yeah, I believe he's got his helmet off right now and has got it off to the side of the race.
Hard hit.
I got to tell you something. I thought that was hooked to somebody, that helmet. He put it over there on the middle part of that car. I wasn't saying anything till I looked and seen him moving around inside the car. That's a good sign to see him moving around in there. You see the window net coming down. He's starting to get out on its own power there.
Well, it's good that he's okay. They've had a rough day, and really didn't need this to happen. He got spun out earlier in the race and come back out after working on the car, and now this has happened. So we hate to see that happen to Bobby.
A number of folks have asked,
that is the front part of that car on the windshield there. That's how hard he hit.
Just the plastic bumper cover.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But that's the hood and all rolled all the way back to the windshield.
They'll clean up for a few minutes from this one. We've had several questions. I guess folks, buddy, saw our IMSA race from Watkins Glen, or been watching IndyCar racing where they have the jacks built into the cars, and they're pneumatic. Here, of course, a crewman carries the jack over the wall, and they wonder why they don't use those jacks on NASCAR cars. We'll see jackmen at work here as we get pit stops under the caution with 33 laps to go. Let's go to the Ernie Irvan pit.
Well, Mike, this time they did make one slight chassis adjustment to the left rear. Obviously, 4 tires will go on and gasoline. They're hoping, as everybody else is, and we are, that this will be the last stop. And let's go to Randy.
Good stop for Morgan Shepherd as well.
Stop sign out at the end of pit road as cars come by. Rather wholesale change of position down there. Now they get in line. And Judy, I think the answer to your question is it's not as exciting when they have air jacks in the cars. I mean, it's part of the pit choreography of pit stops to have that jackman lift one side of the car, come around and lift the other. And it's all part of the work you need to do to make good stops, and that's part of the competition here.
Mike, you're exactly right. It's one of the most exciting parts of racing. Watch these guys change 4 tires, 20 gallons of fuel, and get back out in 16 seconds.
Well, I mean, the question, why do they have to have a jackman, is like why in baseball do you have to have a center fielder? Sure, 2 guys could cover that ground, but it's a lot more exciting when you got 3 out there.
Right, that's one great thing about NASCAR racing is that the people down in Daytona Beach, Bill France, Les Richter, and Mike Helton, they know what to keep a hand on, to make the sport really interesting, and boy, have they done a great job.
32 laps to go here. Let's see how this one plays out. We'll be right back to New Hampshire. Great white clapboard churches and colonial villages that dot the area around Lake Winnipesaukee. It's really been fun to wander around and get lost in, and some of us have this weekend.
They're black flagging the 3 car.
Well, what happened? Remember, everybody got stacked up at the end of pit road, and NASCAR has told Earnhardt to let Ernie Irvan in line, that he was ahead of Earnhardt coming past the end line where the stop sign man is on pit road, and they've told Earnhardt that if you don't let Irvan in, you will be black flagged. So Ernie Irvan gets his spot in line. Apparently Earnhardt was of the persuasion that he beat Irvan across that line and out of the pits. Yesterday, we had a great doubleheader on TNN. If you didn't see it live. I hope you catch it on tape because it was great. The Busch North cars put on quite a show, and so did the NASCAR Modified. Our doubleheader began with a slick 5150. On the pole was Kelly Moore in the Jordan Lumber Chevy. That white and orange car on the outside, Martin Truex, the Blount Seafood Chevrolet. It's an interesting matchup because in the Busch North Series, they run a spec tire, but they have different engine rules. Kelly Moore had a V6, Truex a 9-to-1 V8. Mike Wallace tried to go 4 wide into turn number 3, and 3 cars ended up spinning. Then when Steve Hoddick spun, he got collected hard by Anthony Rainone in the most serious event of the day. Martin Truex won that race over Andy Santerre. There's Truex celebrating his first ever Busch North victory. His previous best place, a 5th at Jennerstown. It's only his 2nd full season on the tour. But the race of the day was the Mod Squad, and here they come with Reggie Ruggiero on the point, and on a restart, Carl Pastriak got turned around. Satch Worley in that yellow number 4, his wrist already in a cast, got spun. Look at the finish. Jeff Fuller and a photo for 2nd. Ricky Fuller, the defending national champ in that white 77, takes it from Charlie Pastriak, finishing 3rd. There's a happy Jeff Fuller. 2nd time this year he's won on TNN. Went to victory lane at Nazareth. Sunoco car carried the victory in our in-car camera. As we mentioned, Jimmy Spencer was in that race in a backup to Jeff Fuller's car. Ran well, but collected the wall. Greg Sachs also drove a modified and picked up a top 10 finish. We'll be back here at New Hampshire right after this. Let's show you what happened as the cars came off pit road. There's Dale Earnhardt's number 3 still in his pit, and you see the Texaco car of Ernie Irvan. Now, he doesn't want to run into Ricky Rudd. Stop there. Here they come to the line where the NASCAR official is.
Looks to me like Earnhardt was first.
Well, let's go down to the Dale Earnhardt pit. Here's Glenn.
Well, that's exactly the way they see it down here. Richard Childress, it looks like maybe just a wrong call there.
Well, we beat the 28 out, and track position is everything here. You know, you got somebody down there making the calls that don't even know where they're at half the time. I don't know what the deal is, but it ain't right.
Well, we understand that they are reviewing the tapes now. Maybe they'll change that call.
Yeah, I mean, they've been making them calls all day on us, and I don't know what the problem is.
They just did change it, so they're going to put him back ahead of him.
Okay.
He's a lot happier about that. Applause going on from the crew here. They were really upset, as you can see from Richard Childress. I've known him a long time. I don't think I've ever seen him that upset.
Well, it's a good call by NASCAR. They of course have their own videotape system, and they have their own officials around the racetrack to review and have a look. Because, as we've always said, it's a lot easier to pass them stopped on pit road than it is at 100 miles an hour out there on the racetrack.
Well, they're getting everything sorted out here, but those replays, they just don't tell lies. I mean, it was right there in front of the world.
So Earnhardt goes in front of Irvan for the restart. That'll put Dale 4th. The leader is Jeff Bodine. He did not make a pit stop. Reason being, he feels they have a broken valve spring, and thus taking on new tires would not help him. So he'll start at the front, run as well as he can to finish this one off. 2nd place, Bobby Labonte. Bill Davis, they went up to the Common Man for dinner last night, had a good one, and he wasn't kidding when he said they got a good setup for today.
You know, one thing about Bobby Labonte, he has run just as fast as the leaders all day, and he's in good track position right now. And with the Bodine car with broken valve springs, if he gets a little jump here, he may pull this thing off.
Ricky Rudd is 3rd, your dark horse pick, buddy.
Well, Ricky Rudd's run well today. He's led the race quite a few times, but he's dropped back in the field 3 or 4 times, but now he's up there. Let's see what he has.
Dale Earnhardt is 4th. Ernie Irvan is 5th. Rusty Wallace is 6th. 7th is Morgan Shepherd. 8th is Mark Martin. 9th is Todd Bodine. And 10th is Ted Musgrave. Then it's Rick Mast, Kyle Petty, Sterling Marlin, Terry Labonte, Brett Bodine, Dale Jarrett, Lake Speed, and Jimmy Hensley on the lead lap, along with Harry Gant. We are green with 26 laps to go. Labonte to the outside, not this time.
That was a wise decision not to try to go through there 3 deep. Oh, he's out in the loose stuff.
Ernie.
Earnhardt, or rather Irvan, in the wall, as Jeff Bodine also climbed the hill.
Everybody went down into the corner and just slid to the top. Evidently something on the racetrack. Too many cars out of the groove on that restart.
Yellow flag.
Bobby Labonte went down in there on the outside, thought better not to do it. He got up out of the groove, and then here come Ernie right behind. That is a shame.
Bill Elliott got a lap back. So did Dave Marcus may not have. Yes, and Darrell Waltrip all got a lap back from the leader.
Now, Ernie's got a lot of damage. That first time he spun, he didn't do much damage. This car has a lot of damage to it now. They're going to work on this thing.
Randy Pemberton.
Well, we're waiting for Ernie to come in the pits here. Obviously, this crew is distraught. They're absolutely out of their mind. Robert Yates jumped on pit road. I didn't have the ability to see the instant replay. Neither did these guys. They just saw the smoke. They're going to wait for Ernie. They're going to pick it. Robert Yates got a crowbar out. And of course, they're going to try and pry as much sheet metal away as they can and finish this thing. But there's not much they can do with only 25 to go. Ernie does bring the car in. Wow, it is pretty beaten up. No question about it. This is a tough break for the points leader. But unfortunately, with the amount of cars that are on the lead lap, he is going to lose some points here today.
There are 22 cars on the lead lap now that both Darrell Waltrip, Bill Elliott, and Dave Marcus have come around. And Irvan will lose a lap as the field comes by. Let's show you what happened.
And they go down in the corner. Bobby Labonte was the first one to get out of the groove and start sliding. Here comes Ernie right behind him. All three cars on the outside, even the 10-car tie car, but he didn't lose it. Everybody coming in the corner on the outside really got loose. Let's take an overhead look. Okay, we're looking on
Jeff Bodine already up there.
You see Jeff on the outside here. I think this might have something to do with it. You see him on the outside there. He's sideways. Everybody behind him's checking up. You see Ernie Irvan correcting the car there. It takes a bite to the left-hand side of the car, and up into the wall he goes.
The only car able to really pull it down was Dale Earnhardt. He pulled it right down to the bottom, but everybody else on the outside had some problems.
23 laps to go. And Ernie Irvan, who dominated this race.
Yeah,
Lady Luck turned a card, and it was not his.
He's got quite a bit of problems. The rear end housing on the car shifted over and everything, so he's going to be real lucky if he don't have a lot of tire rubbing on.
Green flag. Earnhardt, Rudd, Wallace, and Todd Bodine are now the leaders. 21 cars on the lead lap.
They'll walk a little tighter through this corner this time. I don't think you'll see them try to go 3 deep into the corner, but what really triggered that thing was Bodine got in there, got sideways, and everybody on the outside line tried to check up, and they got in a loose spot.
Now, how much does Ricky Rudd have?
We're going to find out pretty quick here. I see him trying to make the move on the inside on Earnhardt.
Ricky Rudd's car has been best on cool tires today.
Yeah, after about 15 or 20 laps, he has faded in the previous times that he was leading the race. You see Rusty Wallace there in third place wrestling that thing. Now he's back in business again.
I think you're right. 21 laps to go. Morgan Shepherd is fourth, and Todd Bodine is in fifth. Mark Martin in sixth. Ted Musgrave in seventh. Eighth is Rick Mast.
I tell you, Earnhardt looks awfully strong right now. He's pulled about a car length from the tied car, Ricky Rudd. They definitely got a lot of gap between them and Rusty.
You know, just over a half a year together, though, Billy Engel and Ricky Rudd have done so much with this team. Todd has to be proud of those. Even though they haven't won a race, they've been in contention many times.
Have you ever tried taking a tennis ball from a German Shepherd that didn't want to give it to you?
Well,
taking the lead from Earnhardt with 20 laps to go.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, this guy right here, he's the man that can take that ball if he gets up under it, because Ricky Rudd is hard-nosed as anybody out there.
The wind of this tied team would be unbelievable.
Oh, look at this. That's Jimmy Hensley.
Steve Grissom there.
Darrell Waltrip. Caution. And Grissom's card is the worst of it. The Diamond Ridge Racing, number 29. That's turn 4. And Mike Wallace limping his car around. Here they come to the flag. No one will get a lap back from the leaders. Jimmy Hensley's car. Lots of smoke from the right front as he goes by. The hits here just keep on coming. 16 caution flags. 18 laps to the finish. We'll be back to bring it to you after this. Welcome back to Loudon, New Hampshire. Well, TNN loves New Hampshire. We're happy to be here to bring you Winston Cup racing for the second year in a row. Steve Grissom's going to get a push back to the pits. And Jimmy Hensley's car has dumped a lot of oil around this racetrack. Oil or water. It looks like oil. And it's right in the groove coming up out of turn number 4.
I tell you what, when we go back green, look at all that oil on the bottom groom. This is going to be a barn burner when we go back. We're going to have oil dry on the track. We're going to have Ricky Rudd, who's never won a race this year with his new team, and he's really going to want to try to get that lead away from Earnhardt.
Let's show you what happened on the back straightaway leading into turn 3.
Looks like Steve Grissom and Mike Wallace got together there, and the rest of these guys, it's kind of a chain reaction deal. There's several cars that were collected on further around the corner there, but that was the start of it.
16 laps to go, Napa. We keep America running. Here's how they're running with 16 laps to go. 20 cars on the lead lap. Ernie Irvan gets a chance to make a couple of stops and try to make some repairs that'll move him up in the field, but he is a lap down in 25th.
This is if this race finishes in this type of order, there's really going to be a lot of points difference.
Mike, that car's out of line so bad it blew the left rear on the caution there. I just seen him take the wheel off and the left rear was flat.
Hensley back out, the damage not terminal on his number 55.
That makes me wonder who really put all that oil down, because the 55 went on, and whatever made that big circle around here had to be Grissom.
Steve Grissom. I think you're right. Let's check with Randy.
Yeah, just going to throw a little trivia at you guys. You probably know it, but Dale Earnhardt is the only driver on this circuit that has the dubious distinction of winning 12 straight years in a row. He's won a race every year for 12 years. The other guy that's trying to do that, he's chasing him. That's Ricky Rudd in the Tide Ford. If he wins today, it will make it the 12th season in a row that he's won a race. That'd be a pretty great accomplishment for a first-year team driver and owner.
You bet, Randy. Pretty stout record in anybody's book. Today's copyrighted telecast of the Slick 5300 is authorized under broadcast rights granted by New Hampshire International Speedway. It's intended for the private use of our audience. Any retransmission or reuse of the pictures, account, and description of the event without the express written consent of the Nashville Network is prohibited. And we have 15 laps to go.
And still, my heart's a pattern up here right now because I know what these guys are thinking right now. It's going to be a race.
Yeah, we're talking about Earnhardt and Rudd, having a distinct advantage right now, but right behind them is a man that's a very good closer, Rusty Wallace.
But you know what? This is what Winston Cup racing is all about. We're coming down. There's going to be 10, 12 laps to go or so. And we got anybody in the top 10 here can win this race.
Mike, I always really get tickled when somebody says, who do you pick today? This is why we don't pick, folks.
That's too hard. Ford Credit 300 is next Saturday. We'll be at South Boston, Virginia to bring you that live Busch Series event, 5 p.m. Eastern Time next Saturday. They will go green next time by and have 13 laps to race. Rusty Wallace sitting in third.
One thing interesting about this, NASCAR has got a rule with 10 laps to go, you can line up single file. We're only 12, 13 laps from going clear to the end of the race, so they're going to be double file, and this is going to play in part of this finish.
Randy LaJoy, who there's a look at the racetrack coming out of turn number 4. That oil, which now we believe was from Steve Grissom's car, and we are not going to restart.
We showed Randy LaJoy just a second ago. He's run a very smart race. He's picking up a lot of attention here, staying out of trouble. He's 23rd right now.
1 lap down. Ernie Irvan still in the pit. We're not going green this time, so let's take a break and come back with the finish of the Slick 5300 after this. We went green for 2 laps, and on the first of those, Jimmy Hensley came down the front straightaway, and something that was apparently bent in that earlier crash broke, and Hensley careened into the front stretch wall. Now, the man who is benefited least by this caution is Dale Earnhardt. You would think he gets to keep his position, but no.
Mike.
He does, but that's not the problem.
They say the water temperature gauge on Dale Earnhardt's car is pegged.
Off the scale, overheated. And when they run, the car will cool. But Glenn, these caution laps can't be doing him any good.
Oh, Mike, it's killing him. There's a lot of concern. You can see it on Richard Childress' face. You finally get there, and then this keeps happening.
Yeah, you know, their engine's pegged out right there on the temperature gauge. What's happening is knock the ductwork out the front of it, and it's running a little hot under caution. Once we get going, we're good, though.
Well, now, Cecil Gordon told me a while ago that they had told Dale that the gauge wasn't working, not to pay attention to it.
It's working.
Oh. If you look at the front end of Earnhardt's car, you'll see where the ductwork got smushed a little early on in the race. We'll show it to you in a bit here.
There it is. The whole front end of that car is caved back in there. You see all this part's supposed to have screening all over.
Jimmy Hensley is okay. Takes the walk back across pit road after smacking the wall on the front straightaway. There are now 10 laps to go, so the next restart will be single file. Darrell Waltrip makes a pit stop. He is the last car on the lead lap, so it won't hurt him to do so. And Ernie Irvan's car still sits behind the wall, or in front of the wall, rather, 5 laps down. Let's go to Glenn.
Well, Jimmy Hensley has crawled out of his car, stopped at the first pit, which was Dale Earnhardt. He's hot, too. What happened there, Jimmy?
Well, it looked like some of the cars just checked up, and I got to run them. I just couldn't get off behind the 23, and I hung him and blew the right front tire. Just got the wall after that.
Looked like you're really out of breath.
Well, knocked the breath. I didn't want to hit the wall. Hit pretty hard, but, you know, it wasn't great today. We stayed on the lead lap all day. We were looking for a pretty decent finish, but, you know, that's the way it goes.
Well, sorry. Better luck next time. Glad you're okay.
Tell everybody back home I'm okay.
The car is not. Jimmy Hensley is all right. Mike McLaughlin on pit road. And let's see if we get one to go this time as they drag Jimmy Hensley's car off of turn 1. There will be 9 laps to go. And yes, we get one to go. We'll bring it to Fram Filters 500K from Talladega, Alabama on Saturday, July 23rd. 2 p.m. Eastern Time, Busch Series Racing. From the network that brings you more Busch Grand National events than all other networks combined.
Oh, yes, man. I tell you what, I love it. And especially Talladega. You know, I love that racetrack. But anytime we have a Busch Grand National race, it's almost stealing to get money for that. I love it.
Hey, guys, it's time in the show where I'm going to give credit where credit's due. Jimmy Spencer won the race last week in Daytona and credited Buddy Baker for him winning that race. He said that the move that he made on Ernie Irvan in turn 1 and 2 was something that Buddy taught him while he was driving for you, Buddy.
Well, that's very gracious, but I got to tell you, he had a lot of race car and a lot of man driving that race car. He made the right moves at the right time. Jimmy Spencer won the race, but he remembered some things that we talked about, but nevertheless, he had to go and do the right things at the right time. So Jimmy Spencer won that race.
His first career win.
We're going green.
And a good one. Let's see who has the right moves here. There will be 8 laps left to race. How hot is it under the hood of Dale Earnhardt's car as Ricky Rudd chases him into turn 1?
Well, the oil dry don't seem to be a big problem. They're all over the racetrack. You see Rusty, the left side got into a little bit of oil dry there, and he got a little bit sideways, but he's right in the thick of things here.
See if Earnhardt can hold his 10 car off. He's running a little bit higher groove at times.
Wonder what Ricky Rudd, the car owner, is telling his driver.
Here we go. This is going to be a race. Oh,
he's got him. He's got the preferred line. He's underneath him. I know Ricky Rudd's heart's beating harder than that car's turning right now.
I knew.
Whoa.
He's trying to get back underneath of him.
Whoa, he does. Unbelievable.
You know what they said about Earnhardt? That's like trying to take a tennis ball from pit roll. Well, you see why.
This is a hard corner right here.
Earnhardt has the bottom.
Whoa, Ricky.
And here comes Rusty.
Man, I tell you.
Who says he can't race, huh?
Best seat in the house. Right.
Look at Ricky Rudd. He has the lead again. Now, he'll check up on the bottom here. That won't be as easy to pass him on the bottom again.
If he can keep the car on the bottom. Sharp turn there, and he cuts it down across the racetrack.
I tell you what a job by Ricky Rudd. Now Earnhardt's got to contend with Rusty behind him right now. All we can do is sit and watch this. This is a great race.
5.5 laps to go.
I tell you, my heart's pounding right now for these guys. Ricky Rudd, if he can win this race, this would be an unbelievable year for a first-time team.
And just behind them, we got to give this guy a call. Todd Bodine is running 4th right now. His best run all year long. Ricky Rudd's trying to hold off Dale Earnhardt, but that's very impressive. That guy's up in 4th place already. See, get Rusty turned off the fan or two there to get a little more spark in the car, not use as much electrical stuff right near the end here. He's letting her all go.
Boy, I tell you, Ricky's getting a little wide getting up off that corner. Hope he doesn't get a little too wide. That's when we have a lot of 4 laps to go.
If Rudd can just keep that car down on the bottom.
Mike, I got to say something. Before this race ever started, you said Ricky Rudd was one of the best slick track drivers in the United States and one of the best road racers. And this racetrack kind of fits his pattern.
Right now it fits Ricky Rudd.
He's pulling away, guys. Just keep it right there, Ricky.
Who'd you interview at the top of the show?
Yeah, they're going to be getting me. The past 2 races that I've covered, I interviewed the winner.
4th place, Morgan Shepherd chasing Mark Martin and Todd Bodine.
You see Mark Martin there. He was involved in an accident early in the race and knocked the toe end out on that car, but he's making a run for 4th place right now. And right behind him is Morgan Shepherd.
And Ricky Rudd is stretching it out.
Tell you what, he's fast. Let's give a call. You're in Mark Martin's car. Todd Bodine just doing an unbelievable job. Only a second year, really a year and a half into this. Last year he didn't run all the races till about halfway through. This is going to be the race of Todd Bodine's life right here. He knows it too. He's just trying to keep Mark behind him right now.
Well, Butch Mock wasn't kidding yesterday when he told me how happy he was with Todd Bodine. Ricky Rudd and Billy Engel have a lap and a half to go. Dale Earnhardt has done everything he can. He has come from a lap down today, and he may take the point lead today from Ernie Irvan.
Ricky Rudd's car looks like his own string right now. White flag.
I'll tell you what, them guys right now have got goosebumps all over. They're not believing this.
And Ernie Irvan's car is being pushed back up pit road and out of the race. As Ricky Rudd winds off the corner, Ted Musgrave goes after Morgan Shepherd, and Mark Martin runs for Todd Bodine.
He's got him. He's up under him going into turn 3 over here.
4th place is the battle. Mark Martin takes it. Todd Bodine may get his first top 5 finish here. For the 15th time in his career, Ricky Rudd will take the checkered flag and win the Slick 5300. Earnhardt is 2nd. Wallace is 3rd. Mark Martin is 4th, and Todd Bodine scores a career-high 5th place finish.
Can I call a dark horse or what?
Hey. We've talked about the black cars. Man, this is whiter than white right here.
That's it.
Ricky Rudd will go to victory lane. We'll meet him after this. As they push Ernie Irvan's car back to the garage area, falling out of this race and the point lead. Split fire spark plugs will take us to victory lane and Glenn Jarrett.
Well, you hear the celebration. The jubilant Ricky Rudd comes out of the car. We'll get a word with him here. Well, first of all, he's going to shoot right now. We'll get the word with him. Let's present the Miller Genuine Jet Draft Pit Crew Award to his crew chief, Bill Engel. First of all, Bill, congratulations. Great job. 17th race, you guys got a victory already.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you very much. This team's worked awful hard. We've got a driver that's dedicated to what's going on, and I don't see anything but good things to come out of this team.
Great job today. Now let's get a word with Ricky. He's hugging. He is exhausted. Ricky, what a great accomplishment. Your first year as an owner driver, the 17th race. Also, this is the 12th straight year you've won a race. What a day.
Unbelievable. I tell you, these guys done an excellent job on this Tide Ford. You know, we talk about it, but 8 months ago we had 26,000 square foot warehouse that had 1 jack and 4 jack stands, and I don't really take much credit. These guys came on board and worked their butts off night and day to build this winning race car, and thanks to Tide. And hello, Linda. I wish you could be here. It's the first race she's missed in years, and love you. See you tonight.
Well, congratulations again to Ricky Rudd. Let's go back to Mike.
Thank you, Glenn. Ricky Rudd wins it here, and Buddy Baker, you don't seem the least bit surprised.
No, I know he's very good on a slick track, but congratulations to Ricky Rudd and a great crew.
Buddy, you picked him. Congratulations, buddy. You're pretty awesome. So, I mean, what a great race today. But we've seen side-by-side racing and Dale Earnhardt come back from absolutely nothing.
Mike, I think Dale Earnhardt, that heat and condition he had, I think that had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, you definitely.
There is the other story of the race. The Robert Yates crew pushing their car back to the garage. Dale Earnhardt takes over the Winston Cup point lead. And next week we go back to the Busch Series. Ford Credit 300, South Boston, Virginia, live at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Well, we hope you've enjoyed our trip to New England and New Hampshire International Speedway, which just keeps growing and becoming one of the greatest places in motorsports. Great show today. For Buddy Baker, Kenny Wallace, Glenn Jarrett, and Randy Pemberton, I'm Mike Joy, congratulating Ricky Rudd on his 15th career victory in today's Slick 5300. So long, everybody, from Loudon, New Hampshire.